to put things back together and to put out what looks like it's going to be a top 10 performance.
And we were trying to have an interview with Fu Zhao, who was crewing today, Meng.
Meng Guangfu, the winner.
Is that Bate coming across the finish line?
Yeah.
I think we have Bate Meng Kai, bib number 23 from mainland China, and he's crossed the finish line in 8th position. A great performance by him. We saw him at Xingmun Reservoir, and he had a bit of a sit down and was trying to take in the calories, but it looks like he had a really strong last section of the race.
Really strong finish. Yeah, he was he came like 45th in Triple C earlier in the year, and then followed that up with following that up with a fantastic run at the Hong Kong 100 for sure.
And he ate a lot at Xingmun Reservoir, so maybe that was the secret, of his.
Interestingly, he DNF'd Hong Kong 100 last year. He's coming back with a top 10 finish. So he's obviously overtaken Stingray on that. They went in neck and neck going into Xinmen Reservoir. So for him to be able to push through and would to take 8th spot for the ANTA Hong Kong 100 in 2024.
Yeah, and speaking of ANTA athletes, we have Yu Pei Chuan, who's had a 2nd place finish today, and a real icon in the Hong Kong 100 history. Let's have a look at him in action.
Yeah. 一个人怎么狩猎一座山？ 过招之前，冷静观察。山没有看起来那么野。紧抓每一寸阵地，留下松土的痕迹。你无法撼动山，但你有足够的灵活去和它周旋。任山咆哮。 不过是耳畔风声，像猎隼一样狩猎一整座山。我是尤培全，这是我的野道。
We actually have the opportunity to go down to the finish line. We've got Natalie, our roaming reporter, that's going to get an interview live with Yu Pei Chan.
It'd be lovely to hear his perspective on that final section. So we'll hand it off to Natalie. Please, Natalie, go ahead.
He's cold.
Finish and with Yu Pei Chuan. 有培全，恭喜你现在觉得怎样呢？
现在头还有点晕，好多了。
I was just asking how he's doing at the moment, because when he crossed the finish, he was a bit overwhelmed. He mentioned earlier that today was a little bit too hot for him, and so earlier he actually felt a little bit dizzy, but he's feeling much better now. 所以你可以就是分享一下今天比赛的时候你的就是过程吗？
今天前面还是想破纪录，所以前面跑略快了一点。我也在小溪遇到有那个溪水，我也会泼一下水。但是，后面居然还中暑了，就是有点反胃，我知道中暑了。还是有点意外的，其实，可能，还是应该更谨慎一些。
I was just asking him to basically summarize his race today. He was saying that at the beginning he perhaps were going a little bit too fast and got a little bit overheated, even though that he was trying to basically cool himself down whenever he sees a stream, but he was still struggling. So he will have to just, trying to rethink his strategy next time, because he was still trying to, of course, defend his title. 那另外的就是今天最深刻、就是难受的时候是那个情况呢？
今天我在城门水塘之后，因为我还领先挺多的，当时我已经中暑症状有点严重了，中暑的症状有点严重，然后我可能手和脚都略微有点麻，就是使不上力，很艰难的爬那个真山，觉得坡尤其的陡，其实之前2年没有觉得那么难的，所以今年真的很艰难，最后的真草帽，
但是你还是第2名，就是很厉害。So I was just asking him what was the toughest moment in the race for him, and he was saying that actually when he got to Shangmun, he was almost getting heat stroked. He got pins and needles in his hands, and it was really tough for him. And so it's really just inspiring to just see him still persevere and actually came second. It's really just inspiring. 这个比赛你已经就是来参加过很多次，我之前都问过你了。然后就是你今年还在来，其实你就是觉得那个比赛有什么特别的原因来吸引你每一年都来了？
我觉得这个赛事办得特别好，然后我去年拿了冠军之后，我就觉得我特别喜欢这个比赛，我希望每年都来，最好是每年都能拿冠军。我这个就是有点突发奇想，所以当我觉得我的目标我的冠军被中断了，我其实还是有点难受的，但是我觉得我只要坚持到底，有一个冠军的心，我觉得就可以了。
明白。I was asking. Liu Peichuan has been doing this race for quite a few times, and then this year he's coming back again. And so I was just asking him how special this race was to him, and he was saying that he won it last year, and he really wanted to defend his title because this race has become very, very special for him. So he's actually really gutted that he came second this time, even though it's such a great achievement, and he was still going to come back again to do it next year. 然后我想问一下啦，你们中国的运动员就是在国内的时候有比赛，然后在香港的时候也会一些比赛，有什么就是特别的可以分享一下吗？
你是说区别吗？
就是你们都比较就是像朋友一样吧，每一次比赛都是就是同样都对呀。那你在这一边有什么特别的可以分享吗？你们像是比较像，等一下 ，I'm sorry 你们这一边就是比较像是朋友嘛，对不对？你可以就是在这一个方面的说一下嘛，谢谢。
我们接下来迎接我们安踏香港120/24 100公里比赛第9位冲线的跑手。
我觉得我们很多选手都是比较友好。然后至于谁能拿前几名，谁拿冠军，我觉得都是在于每个人练得好不好，发挥得好不好。我觉得挺和谐的。
I was asking Liu Peichuan the fact that we've been seeing so many Chinese runners doing races not only in China and also in Hong Kong or internationally. I was just asking about the relationship and the community, and he was saying that because you always see the same few faces, and it's almost like a really tight friendship, a really tight community. It doesn't really matter who's coming first, second, or third, because it's all due to the fact that on the day like today, how do you perform? So he's happy for each other. 尤培强可以说一下，就是现在国内的运动员，就是发挥都很好，进步也很大，就是在一个非常短的时间就有很大的进步。有什么就是因素吗？可以分享一下吗？
我觉得是赞助商环境好了，赞助商多了，对我们的支持大了。原本可能需要顾虑特别多，现在可能都可以放开的去努力，提高自己的成绩，而且努力之后得到了结果，都能够得到肯定，这很关键。对。
So just asking that there have been so many Chinese runners starting to go to the overseas to do races, and they're actually doing really well and got really good results. So what might be the cause of this? What helped them? And so Yopi Chen was saying that he thinks that they have now got a lot more support, so it makes it a lot easier for them to just focus on training and in order to just do better results. So yeah, that's kind of sums it up. So lastly, I'm going to just ask him one last question, because of course we want to know whether he's going to come back next year, and also what would be his next target in terms of racing overseas. 就尤培全，下年你还会再来香港吗？
一定会来。
还有就是你还有下一步就是向国际迈进的那个方向吗？
其实这个世界大满贯不是今年刚牵头吗？我其实想去第2站。就是美国的那个黑峡谷那站，对，2月10号的那站。当然，我现在目前还没有要到名额，对。
明白。So he was saying, of course, he's going to come back to do Hong Kong 100 next year. And then his next step, because we all know that we have the new World Trade Majors coming up. So he would like to do the second station in the US. He hasn't got his spot yet, but he will work on it and hopefully can, race in the US. 希望你就是能够有很好的发挥，在美国的时候，加油！谢谢你，恭喜你。
谢谢，我首先希望能够去，可能得向 Jenny 去要个名额。
Yeah, I will just congratulate him for his win again, and hopefully he will just get to race in the US in a couple of months. And going back to the studio, thank you.
Thank you, Nat. And you could see in the body language, Yu Pei Chuan, the defending champion, maybe a little bit disappointed that the race didn't finish exactly how he wanted. But second place, 10 hours, 35 minutes, an amazing performance by Yu Pei Chuan. And I would be surprised if we don't see him again at future editions. We do have some footage about on the part of the course where the overtaking happened. It was on the climb to up Tai Mo Shan just before they crested the top of the hill, we can really see Meng Guangfu, the ultimate winner, really pushing hard, and then Yu Pei Chuan going a little bit slower up. I believe this would have been the exact point of taking over. So this is going up Tai Mo Shan. You see him looking over his shoulder, and Yu Pei Chuan just behind, and we talked before, and when you get overtaken at that point, it's like the taking souls. That would absolutely destroy you going up. And he knows, he can see the summit of Tai Mo Shan coming up here. And he knows that that's first place gone. There's no way he's going to catch up from here. No, and there's some tactics involved there. If you are passing a runner at this stage in the race, it does make sense to push a little bit hard. You want to remove any element of doubt in terms of the runner that you're passing. So you hope that they're not pushing you for the last final section. So I think Meng was racing very smart there, really passing with purpose, and you could see Yu Pei Chuan there was, I think, a little bit dejected that he was losing his first place position that he held all day long, and that might explain why the gap was so big in the end. He wouldn't have been pushing too hard in the final descent.
On the other hand, I wonder whether he knew how much behind Tyler was, because he seems just he gave up. He gave up his first position. He gave up winning the race, and then he kept running. Like just before arriving to the finish line, we saw him like talking almost to the cameraman, like, and looking behind.
Yeah.
If anyone, like if Tyler is coming. So I'm not sure if at the Shingmun Reservoir where he saw last time his crew, he knew they gave him information that you have a 15 minutes lead on the third place. So he was comfortably just walking in it, or he was even like almost giving up his second position spot. But from the interview, we could see that he was kind of a broken man in a way, that this is not what he was trying to obtain today, which is totally understandable.
Yeah, it's a good point, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's still an amazing performance by a multiple-time champion at the Hong Kong 100.
Absolutely, but I have to say that with races, with podiums, with times, there is so much more. It's way more complex than what it looks like from an outsider. So it's easy to say a second position is still great, and yes, it's absolutely great, and even the time is absolutely great. But how he perceives and how that impacts on his upcoming year, on 2024, that is a very interesting question.
Absolutely. And also, at the end of a 100-kilometer race, you've been pushing hard all day. It can be tough to gather the emotions at the finish line. You're having feelings going through your mind very quickly, and what you're feeling right now might be very different than how you reflect on the race a few days or a few weeks later.
For sure. But if he was happy for the second position, he would have been smiling during the interview. Let's put it in this way.
Yeah, well,
how is the woman race evolving? Because we saw John Stingray arriving to the finish line, but it would be really interesting to see what's going on. And it seems that the first 9 ladies passed the Shingmun Reservoir already, and all of them are Chinese. Maybe number 8, she is from Hong Kong.
and we have the 10th place male coming across the finish line here on the live feed. That looks like it's Zhu Kao from China, bib number 44, I believe. And that looks like a happy finisher who's grabbed the final top 10 position in the men's race. That'll be a time of around 11 hours, 46 minutes.
10 hours 46.
10 hours 46. Still a very respectable time. And in the women's race, Chen Lin passed Lead Mine Pass about 26 minutes ago. The gap with between her and
Li Ying
was
around 30 minutes.
So it'll be really interesting just to see what that gap is when Li Ying comes through Lead Mine Pass. Probably difficult for her to close the gap on number 1, but it's going to be probably an exciting battle for that podium. Because if you look at the times going through Shingmun Reservoir from positions 3 through 5, only a few minutes separating those leaders in the women's race, and I think there'll be some battles in the dark going over those last few big climbs.
And as we were saying, like number 8, Ki Chung Wong, she is the first Hong Kong runner in the female leading board. So the first 7 runners are all from mainland China. And Ki Chung Wong had a great year, 2023. Actually, she was a surprise, I think, last year in the Hong Kong trail running community, because she raced quite a lot, as many local runners do. And she did some amazing performances. She's getting stronger, and I think also more focused on trail running. So it's great to see her in the top 10. It's absolutely plays off. And then after her, the next Hong Kong runner is Angie Yan. She is 11th, just past Bacon Hill. So it's really a Chinese race on the women's side, which is absolutely amazing because, as we said, this is a gateway for Chinese runners. So it probably opens up doors and gives more opportunity to all the podium finishers on the women's side. And usually they call at the prize ceremony they call the first 10 finisher. So that means that the first 10 finisher can have a better future in a way, or more support in the next year. And we are just checking what happened to Dominica. She just passed Gilwell Camp, so she's behind. Or no, she's DNF. She's DNF. Yeah, it was definitely out of her comfort zone. I was just listening an interview with her that Iran Far did with her before the World Championship in Thailand 2022, and she was explaining that she doesn't like the technical terrain. Yep. And I was thinking, oh my God, so why? But
why choose for Hong Kong 100?
But sometimes it's nice you challenge yourself. I talked to Tyler Green, and he was also like challenging himself, but for him it went well. You never know. Sometimes it's just because you don't know, it doesn't mean you cannot handle it. But
yeah, and that's probably what, I mean, she did well on the first half of the race, and she was obviously leading for a good portion there. But as you started to go in the hit the elevation in the second half of the race, and we talked earlier, Jeff, like this is definitely a race of two halves. The first 50k reasonably flat, but then as you hit the 50k mark, that's where you've got sort of like 2/3 of the elevation is in, or more, maybe 3/4 is in the second half of the race.
Yeah, and also just the challenges for overseas runners racing in Hong Kong. For a runner like Dominica coming from Europe, it's colder weather at this time of the year. Going to be warmer in Hong Kong, and different terrain. It can be a real challenge. We have another finisher. This looks like the 11th place men's finisher coming across the line here. Wang Jichen from China. Great performance from him. So really some strong runners still on the course. The depth of the field is such that these runners finishing in the 10th to 20th positions, these are still some world-class runners. Yeah,
world-class for sure. I mean, Wang Jichen has like an 8:30 ITRA score, like is a really great runner. Came sort of like top 40 at UTMB. Hasn't raced since that, was coming in with fresh legs. So I think we're going to actually go back to the finish line and see Nat on the finish line.
Yes. Hi guys. Can you hear me?
Hi Nat. Yeah, please go ahead. It looks like you have a tourist with you.
Very
yes,
strong.
I do. I'm very, very strong tourist, and also a tourist with a really, really strong wife as well, who actually beat him because she came first, right?
Yeah, that's true. That always happens.
So everyone we have here, Tyler Green. Actually, Tyler's wearing earpiece too, so if you guys have any question, you can actually ask him directly as well. So I'm going to ask first question to Tyler. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good job. Can you just summarize the race for us? Give us a little bit about oversights.
Yeah, I mean, I was warned many times that I should not go out with the leaders, and then I found myself 20 seconds behind them. I was like, oh, this is kind of going out with the leaders. So I was a little concerned about that I was not, but I felt good. And then once we started the first climb out of East Dam, I could feel how hot it was, and that it was going to be hot for a long time, especially the climbs. Like you would go down, like the descents in the shade, they felt pretty good, but it was oppressive how hot it felt. And I don't feel like I was prepared for that, and I started to worry because I know that many of the people racing, they know this type of climate much better than me. but I could also see that other people were struggling, so I just kind of like stayed as relaxed and kept my effort easy as best as possible. And it wasn't, I felt really bad until CP5, so 56 or 7K. And then my crew, they got me very cold. I was using an ice bandana, and that was very helpful, and getting water on me at all the checkpoints and in the creeks and stuff, like dipping my hat and putting it over my head to get cold. And that was really, really helpful. And then, then I passed Zhuzhao and Deng. And I thought, this is going really good, and I felt really strong. But from there, I was all alone for many, many miles, and I didn't realize I was so close to Pechuan. Which is okay. I mean, he ran a great race, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you actually heard his interview earlier at the finish line. Liu Peichen was. Yeah, Liu Peichen was actually really overheated. So when he got to Xingmen, he was really struggling. Okay. He actually felt that he got heat stroke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. So it's not only you tourists is being affected. Okay. I mean, many others were actually struggling with today's heat. And so can you tell us what was the toughest moment for you? If any?
Yeah, well, yeah, there were many. I felt, well, I didn't like the monkeys. So that was kind of the one where I was just like not used to running by lots and lots of monkeys, and there was one that kind of lunged at me a little bit. But as far as like my actual, feeling during the race, it was more kind of along the beaches. So we're talking about kilometer 20 to 40 or something like that. Just like wasn't getting into any sort of rhythm. That was definitely the hardest part. And then I started to find my rhythm and felt good, and was really happy with how my legs held up with the stairs, because that's a new thing for me as well.
How I remember about 3. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Taylor, congratulations. How did you feel with the stairs? Did you get used to it in the last week, or you did amazing race? I am curious, how did you feel on the stairs, up and down?
Yeah. Yes, I felt really strong in the stairs. I mean, the needle was a very hard climb. That was probably the hardest climb of the day for me. And going down the stairs, though, I felt like I had a really good rhythm and was happy with how I performed in that section. There were a couple places that I almost tripped, and I know that could be really bad going head first on the stairs. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Yeah.
So it was a good preparation before Miut Ultra Trail Madeira, right?
Yeah, that's that. I plan to do that next. I'm not. We have to get some travel logistics figured out, but that's the plan. But I do think that those two, this race and Madeira, connect very, very well.
Yeah. Tyler, you came into Xinmen Reservoir. You had your wife waiting there for you. Your amazing crew. You're in 3rd position at that point. What did your crew say to you? Like, did they say, look, like, give you? They obviously let you know how far behind you were, but like, what was your feeling going out of Xinmen Reservoir? You had around 15K to go before going up Needle Hill.
Yeah, I kept hearing that the runners in front were looking really strong. So I was feeling more in preservation to keep my 3rd position, which is probably a mistake, because it ended up being a lot closer than what I expected. So that's a important lesson for me. But she also told me, and I think maybe the gap was a little. She usually lies to me and says that the gap's very close behind me. She said it was like 5 minutes, and I was like, I gotta get over the needle and stay out of sight. So that was what I had more in my mind was, could I possibly get caught?
Well, I mean, you obviously were so close to Liu Peichen at the end. You were maybe 3 minutes behind. Was there anyone on the course that was able to tell you going over Taimo Shan, like how close it was?
No, it was very quiet all the way from Lead Mine Pass. There were a few people there, but nobody saying that it was close, and I didn't see any headlamp. So lesson learned there to just like you have to go all the way to the finish line as hard as you can. Yeah.
Well, still an incredibly impressive performance to come in third place in your first Hong Kong 100. You mentioned going into the race that you weren't familiar with a lot of the elites in the field. You often race against North American or European competition, but you went through the first timing point in 12th place and slowly moved your way up through the field. What was going through your head as you were passing some of the other competitors who had a lot of experience on this course?
It gave me confidence just knowing that, like, running with Deng and Zhao, like, I know that those guys have great results in this, so I thought, I must be running pretty well. That was helpful. But yeah, I think it's a mistake of mine to not know all of those competitors and the strengths that they have. I think I've learned a lot about the Asian running community and the elite fields, and it's helpful to get this experience.
And Tyler, this is the first of the World Trail Majors, the inaugural event in the 2024 season. I mean, had you planned to actually have any of the other World Trail Majors in your calendar for this year? Or now you've got a podium finish, top 3 finish, is that like, because you only need 2 finishes that will be classed to be able to go into the finals as well. So will you be picking another World Trail Majors course this year?
Yeah, that will be Madeira, hopefully. So, that's the intention. I mean, I'm really excited about what World Trail Majors are doing. When I saw the list of races, I thought, these are all great races and races that I've wanted to go to at some point. I raced Trans Gran Canaria last year. Always wanted to run Mount Fuji and Cape Town and Madeira. So I'm excited to explore this over the next couple of years.
An incredible performance today. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Top 3 is just
so
unbelievable in this field.
And thank you for all of the live stream. I know that this is such an important point or part of elevating the sport. So thank you for all the work you've done.
And it was unfortunate to hear about that monkey incident. We'll see if we can get a reporter on the ground to get the monkey side of the story. Usually there's 2 sides to those types of confrontations. So
we talked about this with Taylor and Rachel during our run, and Rachel said she was so excited to see them, and she was looking forward to see how the monkeys are.
Yeah, because I mean, Tyler was saying that he's not used to seeing monkeys while running, but the monkey might not be used to seeing American elite trail runners going past. So it can be difficult for both sides. Yeah,
I was trying to research actually. Someone asked in the feed, like, has there been every American ever win this race before? And I was looking through the results. I actually think that that's one of the top American performances that we've had from an American athlete. I mean, famously, Francois Dehaene came through and ran. I think it was in 2018.
2017, and it was yesterday. I was talking to someone why the Chinese are so strong, and he was saying, when Francois was the cold year in 2017, so that was a really cold year for everyone here, and it was good for him. But otherwise, it's really difficult to see a good performance from people who are coming from Europe or America. Most of the people I met in the last few years, they are saying, I DNF at one point, and so it's amazing that Taylor has been here, I think, for 8 days, and she had such a great performance.
Yeah. So we're going to be heading down back to the course. I believe the finish line where we've got Harry and
Ryan Whelan,
your teammates,
two of our capable cameramen who were keeping up with the elites today. We have Harry Tabor and Ryan Whelan. So gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for keeping up with these fast runners all day long, carrying a bit of extra kit. Tell us a little bit about how your days went.
Okay, hey guys, it's just getting a bit cold here, so I hope you're warm in the studio. Jeff, Scott and Esther there. Enjoy it.
It's very toasty in here and nice, but please, Ryan, tell us about your day.
Yeah, so it's very warm. It felt like a lot of very aggressive hill repeats, up, down, and each one is extremely fast. And yeah, just going different locations and yeah, just seeing different people. It's been really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a really good day. But yeah, it's hot. It's very hot today. So definitely there were some runners who I think were struggling in the heat. It was interesting. A lot set off hard, particularly in the first third. I think there were a lot of people who were really shifting. So it was interesting to see how all the different positions moved around as the day went on.
I'm interested, Ryan, how heavy was the equipment you were having to carry while you were running along with some of the runners there? Like, Richard was saying it's a couple of kg, but yeah, was it pretty unwieldy to be able to run with it and keep up?
Tell us a bit about the kit that you guys were carrying.
Okay, so yeah, it was a couple of kg, so the weight wasn't so bad. It was more the fit. So it was shifting round at the bottom. It was the spare battery, so that was sort of digging into the lower back. So it wasn't the most comfortable, one might say.
It was okay to follow on the. We could follow okay on the climbs and some of the flats. I think the downhills are where things got a little sketchy when they were really pushing it.
Any notable performances in terms of any of the runners that you were following? Were there any standouts just in terms of any of the athletes that you were running alongside today?
Funny enough, went about the Xingmun, so we're getting to about the 80k part. Then you could feel the pace of the runners 1, 2, and 3. And you could tell already that BKNU was starting to slow down. Number 2, who actually ended up winning, was absolutely flying, and Tyler Green as well was shifting as well. So you could feel the paces of how they were going, and that was shown in the end results as well. So even without looking at your watch, you just felt the pace change of the different runners.
Yeah, when we saw, sorry Harry, I was just going to say, at Xinmen, Ryan, when Meng Guangfu left Xinmen Reservoir, we just commented that he went out there like a bullet. He was flying out there, and like we were at the start line, and it was, at that point he was 10 minutes behind Yupei Chan. It's like, it's going to be difficult for him to make that up, but by gosh, his team and his crew sent him out of Xinmen with a fire in his belly.
And just for you guys to know, the final pass happened on that last climb, and Meng Guangfu, he won by almost 20 minutes, so really hammered down after making that pass. But it's really interesting to hear that you guys could see that on the visuals at Xingmen, just the condition that he was in. I'm curious, for each of you, how many total kilometers did you guys put in today chasing the runners? I presume you kept the GPS watches going.
Yeah, they went on. It was probably more like a series of interval sessions rather than one long run. But I think probably around 25k or so. How about you?
I did more.
You did more?
Well, however, Harry definitely beat me on the elevation. So we're both winners. We're both winners today.
Punchy climbs in there.
No, it's great, and you guys, really showed your class to keep up with some of these world-class runners. The temperatures have definitely cooled down, but how hot was it out today on the course? Were you guys sweating just doing even these short intervals?
Yeah, it got pretty warm, I think, particularly around the middle of the day, and when people got up onto the ridges, say around Maranshan, that area where it's all pretty exposed, that was hot. So I think it was hot out in the sun. Now it's cooled down a lot, and it probably started to cool down from about 5 o'clock when the clouds came over. But yeah, I think it's been a long day out. Yeah,
I think Ryan, you were. Sorry, Ryan, you go.
So, sorry, just one point as well, which is quite interesting. So I started on the first beaches, so it was still quite early, but the temperatures were up. and the speed. I think I got there about the start of the mid-packers, so about 30 place onwards, and the speed everyone was going was unbelievable, and everyone was sweating bullets. And it's funny how the pace slows down as the day goes on, even with the top elite runners. You could just feel it each time you bumped into them. They were all going a bit slower, even the podiumers.
Yeah. Interesting. Ryan, I think it was you coming out of checkpoint 5, Kaling Ha, and there's the road bit before you go up to a Mount Shan. But was it you that was doing repeats up and down? Was that was that
yes.
you? Okay. We were thinking, gosh, man, he must be like that, because that is a steep bit of road, and yeah, it looked like you were being dropped there a few times. But I think we've got a finisher coming to the.
We might have the ladies' winner coming through relatively soon. Chen Lin went through Lead Mine Pass, it looks like an hour and a half ago. Let's keep an eye on the finish line just to see who's coming through, because we wouldn't want to miss the women's winner.
You two are down there. Have we got Chen Lin coming in?
Do we have a view of the finish line?
This is Ludwig Vreen.
Oh, is this Ludwig coming through?
Ludwig.
Okay, there we go. We have Ludwig Vrien's Hong Kong-based Dutchman, the Dutch Bullet, and an amazing performance. 12th place for Ludwig.
Yeah, what run!
Amazing run. In hot conditions today, with a extremely competitive field, and a big smile on his face. Really proud of his achievement, and he should be.
Ludwig's coming off the back of a top 10 finish, Doethanon, literally just only like a month or so ago.
Yep.
So, and that was a really, really tough course. He finished 7th last year, but yeah, coming back and just crushed it. Like with it's really, really strong time. He has beaten. Just waiting for the. So he's come through in 12 hours 10 minutes. Which I'm pretty sure is ahead of his time from last year, but great run. But yeah, we're talking about the female leaders in the race there. Ryan, we saw you actually following Chen Lin down into Shunmin Reservoir. It looked like it was pretty challenging to keep up with her there. She was gunning it down that hill into Shunmin Reservoir.
Yeah, she was looking really strong. Small steps, very nimble, and it's very interesting to see the difference between the female runners and how they run and take those stairs in. Same as all her checkpoints. She sits down, she takes her time, she gets a lot of calories in. I've never seen anyone take that many calories in about a couple of minutes, and then she just carries on, and she carries on fast. So whatever she's putting in her body is working.
We were commenting, actually, watching them both go through Shunmin checkpoint. Yeah, Chen Lin absolutely pounding down the food. She was taking the time, really efficient in the checkpoint, but just really getting the calories on. Whereas Li Ying, we heard, actually just didn't really feel like eating, didn't even really want to take any food with her, and just sort of went off. And Esther was commenting that that's not a good sign. Going into the that last part of the race with a big climb up to Needle Hill.
Yeah, and going through Lead Mine Pass, Li Ying is about 45 minutes behind, having gone through the last checkpoint, the second place lady, Li Ying. So we should be seeing Chen Lin, the ladies' leader, come through at any moment now. So we'll keep an ear out at the finish line for when we start hearing the cheering and clapping.
But great job today, gents. It's really critical getting that footage on the course, and you both deserve a beer, or it looks like you need a hot chocolate or something. You look freezing there, but yeah, well done, gents. Really good to catch up.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Well done in the studio.
Cheers, studio.
All right,
see you. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Your teammate Ryan Whelan, the two of you, along with Esther, who graced us in the studio here, putting the record it was last year, right? In the 2023 Oxfam Trail Walker, the fastest mix record, 12 hours. I think you smashed that in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Ryan's a veteran Hong Kong-based trail runner and very familiar with the course, and a really strong runner. He's a personal trainer in his day job, so he's one of the strongest, fittest runners out there.
We've got the award ceremony happening here for all of the top 10 male athletes are over, so I think we'll see them all gracing the stage here. Wow.
第9名嘅係我哋本地嘅參加者 John Ray Oliver， 大家都知道佢叫做 Stingray， 佢個完成時間係11個鐘頭37分鐘。第9名是 John Ray Oliver， 我們在這裡都叫他 Stingray， 他的完成時間是11個小時37分鐘。Congratulations Stingray。第8名是巴德蒙開。 他的完成時間是11個小時28分鐘。Coming in 8th position is Bata Mankai with a finishing time of 11 hours 28 minutes. Congratulations， 恭喜你！第8名嘅係巴特蒙開，佢個完成時間係11個鐘頭28分鐘，恭喜！ And then in 7th position is Tieta Tamang from Nepal. With a finishing time of 11 hours 15 minutes. Congratulations, Tieta. Great to see you back. 第7名係 Tieta Tamang 尼泊爾嘅選手，佢個完成時間係11個鐘頭15分鐘。第7名的選手是香港100之前的冠軍，他的完成時間是11個小時15分鐘。Tieta Tamang. And then coming in 6th position is Zhao Jiaju with an amazing time of 11 hours 11 minutes. 第6名是Zhao Jiaju， 完成的時間是11個小時11分鐘，恭喜家駒。第6名係趙家駒，完成嘅時間係11個鐘頭11分鐘。恭喜恭喜恭喜！ 跟到第5名是邓果门，他的完成時間是11個小時6分。很高興在領獎台上見到果門。第5名嘅係Dan Gorman， we're glad to see him back as well with a time of 11 hours 6 minutes。第5名嘅係鄧國文，佢個完成時間係11個鐘頭06分鐘。 Coming into 4th position is Chin Guidu with the time of 10 hours 58 minutes. 第4名是钱贵都，完成时間是10個小時58分鐘，恭喜恭喜！第4名係錢貴都，佢嘅完成時間係10個小時58分鐘。 Coming in 3rd position is Tyler Green from the United States. Congratulations, Tyler. Tyler finished Hong Kong 100 in 10 hours 38 minutes. Congratulations. 第3名嘅係 Tyler Green， 佢個完成時間係10個小時38分鐘。第3名是美國的選手 Tyler Green， 他的完賽時間是10個小時38分鐘。 第2名的選手是尤培權，他的完賽時間是10個小時35分鐘，恭喜培權。Coming in 2nd position is Yo Pei Chan with a time of 10 hours 30 minutes。第2名係尤培權，佢個完成時間係10個小時35分鐘。 恭喜培权很好的成績。2024年的ANTA 香港100-103公里的冠軍是蒙光富，完成的時間是10個小時16分鐘。The champion of the ANTA Hong Kong 100 is Man Guangfu with a finishing time of 10 hours 16 minutes. 我哋今年嘅冠軍得主係蒙光富，佢嘅完成時間係10個小時16分鐘，恭喜晒，恭喜！恭喜所有在台上的每一位選手。Congratulations to each one of you on the podium. You guys are all amazing. 恭喜晒所有10名嘅選手。我哋一齊，或者係俾大家影相先。Let's take a group photo. Big smile. 我們要燦爛的笑容。可以舉高你們的包袱。阿 B， 謝謝，謝謝大家，恭喜恭喜 ！Amazing， well done everyone, top job.
So that was the top 10 men accepting their prizes, and just some amazing performances throughout that men's field today. Obviously, Meng Guangfu, standout performance coming in and closing that gap right at the end.
Yeah, and great to see Hong Kong-based runner as well, Stingray, making that top 10 as well. But yeah, Yo Pei Tran, Tyler Green as the top 3. I also love just hearing the cowbells.
Yeah.
It's such a Hong Kong thing. We talked about all of the wildlife on the course, from like the snakes at the time of year, but spiders and the and like you get boars and everything. But the cows are like a quintessential thing of running across the Hong Kong hills, and it's good hearing those.
Yeah,
bells.
often when you hear a cowbell elsewhere, it's someone shaking one, but here in Hong Kong, it'll be one of these feral cows that are grazing on the hill, and they'll have cowbells on them, and you can hear them making their way across the pasture. But yeah, some amazing performances by the men.
Oh, we're okay. I thought this was going to be the female winner coming over the line, but we're just waiting for to come through. We're waiting for Chen Lin to come through now.
Yep, that looks like it might be. Is it Arjun Kalung? One of our Nepalese runners. It might be, but
yeah.
but yeah, in the women's race, we're expecting Chen Lin to come through any moment now. She has been really in control of this race in the second half. In the first half, it wasn't clear who would sort of take the control of this race, but she really sort of established herself and hasn't really had much doubt in any of our minds. After crossing that halfway point and just extending that lead. She was about 45 minutes ahead of second place Li Ying at Leadmine Pass.
Yeah. I think she's since getting to Ham Tin, which is the second main checkpoint. She's just dominated and owned the race from then, and she's increased her lead as the days worn on. But yeah, we look forward to seeing her get to the finish line.
And it's going to be a really exciting battle for third place as well. We have a number of mainland Chinese athletes who are battling for that third podium spot. Ma Ting has been in third place for much of the afternoon, but Yu Wanwan, who we've heard from in an interview before the race, she's in fourth place, and Deng Huahu is in fifth. But 3 through 6 or 7 are all bunched together, and I think we might see some battles for those podium spots for the women's race. These are all very, very strong athletes, and any of them can make a move in the last few segments of the race.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to be able to speak with Ludovic Riens at the finish line as well. He came in 12th this year, I think, and off the back of his 7th spot last year. He finished in last year, finishing just under 12 hours, 11:58, and then this year. What time did he just come in?
He came in at 12:09, which was maybe a little bit slower than what he was expecting. I spoke with Ludwig before the race, and he was aiming for a sub-12 finish. But we heard from some of the elite men who finished, and everyone was saying how hot of a day it was. Here in the studio, we were looking at the temperatures. It was mid-20s, 22, 23 degrees. It didn't look like the humidity was that strong, but the sunlight was out there all day long, and really when you're out on an exposed course like that, it can really just what the temperature on the thermometer that can be a bit deceiving.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear from him on how it compared to last year. I mean, if we look at the winning times and Yopo Chan would actually finished a few minutes quicker than his time last year. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it compares. But yeah, great hearing from Harry and Ryan there, and just having seen them sort of follow the runners. It's we would have loved to have the live footage of the winners coming over Taimo Shan, but I can't stress enough like how incredible the team have been here trying to get that live footage to you. But it's just technically very, very difficult to be able to get the drones in the air at the right time. But they've done just a fantastic job, and I've just some of the views that we had across the course from going over the beaches earlier in the day to Mount Shan and
absolutely. Actually, I want to apologize to the viewers just how much of you and I that the people at home have had to watch. We really would have preferred it for it to be all live action, but getting those drones and the live cameras, you really need to have the signal, and it's just an amazing technical effort for the team out there. It looks like we do have Natalie, our reporter, at the finish line. Let's throw to Natalie, and I believe she's with one of our local elite finishers, Ludwig Vriens.
Hi guys.
Hi Natalie. Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. How are you doing down there?
We are very well here. Can you see us and hear us clearly?
Hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Just waiting for footage.
Yeah. Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Wow, exhausted. Very happy. It was it's a wonderful event. It's my 8th time running Hong Kong 100, and it gets better every year that I do it. It was a brutal year. It was so hot. I mean, everyone knows that. I think who was watching. The sweat dripping off you was insane, but it's such a wonderful event. It's so much fun and such high caliber of athletes who come out, which is just amazing to take part of. Yeah.
Oh, there we can see you now, Ludwig.
Any question from you guys?
Yeah. So, Ludwig, congratulations for another amazing run in this. This is a course that you know very well. Hong Kong-based runner, but you've also, as you mentioned, you've run it for many years. How did this year compare to last year? We were tracking you and looking at your splits and looking at your times. And actually, I know that when you mentioned before you were looking for do another sub-12 like you did last year. You were very close to that. I mean, just within 10 minutes. But we were interested in how the conditions compared to last year.
Yeah, it was hot from the start. Which I think was just quite different from last year. Last year when we started, it was overcast and the pace was great. I was a bit slower last year at that point, but I think I was sweating by the first junction where you go up on the trail. I was already drenched, which was quite a different experience from last year. But that didn't let up, actually. That heat that only really stopped about Xingmun for me. So that was a key change. I mean, last year was hot, but this year was very hot, very sunny. So that would be the key change for me. I also ran it much quicker at the beginning. My splits were probably 3 to 4 minutes per checkpoint faster. Probably a strategic error in retrospect, but I managed to make up some good time, especially in the last 2 checkpoints, really powering up the hills and sprinting down from Taimo Shan.
And Ludwig, you went through the first checkpoint in 23rd position and then worked your way through the field all day long. What were you feeling as you were passing some of the other athletes? Did you feel any home field advantage being so familiar with the course?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely the home field advantage. I know where the climbs are. I know where the horrible bits are going to be. I mean, no one enjoys checkpoint 2 to 3. So I know that that's coming. My strategy is always to start further back, probably inspired by John Ellis. But it usually works for me. It's nice to pass people as we go. But yeah, knowing the course so well is a serious advantage. But I mean, a lot of the Chinese runners who aren't based here, they've also been here many years in a row, so they know the course pretty well too. So that advantage is slowly fading, I think. But it's definitely one. You've got that right.
And were there any runners that you ran with for long portions of the course, or were you spending most of the time out there running alone out there?
Yeah, with two runners. I mean, I ran with Alex Nayrink, my fellow T8 Numara runner, for probably the first 40K on and off. We ran bits together, bits alone. And then later in the course, I ran with Chinese runner Hui Bai, who I actually caught last year about 200 meters from the finish line. And this year we ran for about 20 kilometers together as well, which was great. He's a phenomenal runner, done very well in other events as well, and I think he's just about to finish himself today. I lost him in Xingmun, and I didn't see him coming out of the checkpoint, but I hope he's coming in soon.
Yeah, we saw you and Alex neck and neck. I think you came to sort of Sha Tin like around exactly the same time, and we were considering, like, we kind of know you're kind of teammates as well, but are you racing each other? Are you supporting each other? Like, how does it work on the field there? Are you like egging each other on, or are you competing?
I think verbally we're egging each other on. But in my mind, it's definitely a competition. Yeah, so it was. He's improved so much in the last year. He's such a talented runner, and I was astounded to see him just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and holding on. And I think he only finished about 10 minutes after me. So phenomenal run by him, and he really pulled it together at the end. I thought he was fading when I left him, but man, he came back.
Yeah, he was only just 7 minutes behind you. And look, Ludovic, you actually you have had like a pretty busy season as well. Like it was only a month or so ago that you were running Duathlon Miler as well. Had that always been planned? I mean, I know Hong Kong 100 is an A race for you as well, but running a Miler just 5-6 weeks beforehand, it's pretty aggressive scheduling.
Yeah, unfortunately, aggressive scheduling, not advised by my coach, but I mean, it's a race I both wanted to do, and unfortunately that's how the schedule pans out. I mean, Hong Kong's racing season is very full of great races, but it's not the longest. We miss out on the summer, right, and the late spring. So I went in knowing that was going to be the case. So I trained from the summer onwards, knowing after UTMB in early September, this was the target too, and there's one more coming up in about a month, but we'll see if I'm walking tomorrow before I make the call about doing that one. But yeah, it's a busy season.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, amazing result today. Just before we hand you off, what's next on your calendar? Anything that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I've signed up for the 50-50 Nine Dragons. We'll see how that goes. I enthusiastically signed up on the day that sign-up started. I think I've been regretting it ever since. But now that I've told you guys, I guess I have to do it.
You've not just told us, you've told everyone on the live stream as well. So yeah, you're committed now. So mate, good luck with the recovery. Go grab yourself a beer. It seems pretty cold out there as well. Let's get him a hoodie, Nat. Like he's got his Hong Kong 100 hoodie surely waiting for him. But congratulations.
Yeah, I know.
Ludovic.
I haven't done the race, but I'm actually wearing the finisher.
You don't deserve one, Nat. No, you have.
So Ludovic, you are allowed to take Nat's hoodie there, and please go ahead. You've earned it with an amazing performance today. Congratulations.
So guys, I actually got the Chinese top female runner here, Xin Fujiao. She's ready to be interviewed, and so I'm going to hand it back to you shortly, and we'll talk to Xin Fujiao soon.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much,
Good stuff.
Nat.
Thanks, Ludovic. Good recovery. Oh, what a top bloke. And Fu Xiao, who Nat's going to be bringing to interview now, someone that you've also, that you ran with, just last year.
Yeah, I mean, such an impressive athlete. She has really tore up the international running scene. She was back here for Trans-Lantau and won the 100-mile race there.
100 mile. It's like 130K or something.
It rated for 140, and they had to cut the course short. It's still a tough course, and she really dominated that event. So she has really just turned into a real consistent performer on the international stage. One of the best runners out there.
I can't wait to hear. She was obviously crew today, Hoka athlete, crew for Meng Guangfu, who won the race. I can't wait to hear what she said to him at that final, the second to last checkpoint. I was trying to actually, it would be good to pull up footage again of him coming out of that checkpoint. I think I'll line it up for after we get to hear from her.
Yeah, it's really interesting because CP support, it's about physiology and psychology, right? You want to make sure that the runner that you're supporting has everything that they need in terms of nutrition, hydration, change of gear, but also you want to be telling them the right things. Both what the runner wants to hear and what the runner needs to hear, which can be two different things. Because sometimes runners are going to want to have exact information about where everyone is and how much time they need to close gaps. But sometimes what they need to hear might be a little bit different than that. And as we heard Tyler says, sometimes his wife is not 100% honest in those conversations because she knows what he needs to hear in order to really get into that next gear.
Well, that's it. And Tyler said that with Rachel Drake, his wife, who won the third, if she had only said to him, "You're so close," you're like, he might have come back with a second place finish. But yeah. But yeah, we're gonna hand back to the finish line where we've got Jack, who was one of our cameraman, and Shan Fu Zhao, previous winner of Hong Kong 100 and the female record holder. Hello guys, over to you, Jack.
Hello, Fu Zhao.
Hello, Fu Zhao.
Hello, everybody.
So Fu Zhao, you were out supporting on the course today, and we saw you at CP8 at Xingmun Reservoir supporting your teammate Meng Guangfu, and he came out of that checkpoint flying. Tell us about that point in the race. How did that checkpoint go, and what were you telling him?
说一下城门水塘发生什么事情呢？一下就走了。今天是做了支援的这个角色。
Yes. Many people ask me, why you didn't run? I say because I need to support my teammate and I don't know how to say. 我希望我给冠军做补给，只是一句玩笑话，但没想到成真了。就是觉得做补给和真正上赛道跑其实是不一样的。做补给其实相对来说会更加激动兴奋，自己跑的时候其实相对来说是心态很平和的。
那在城门水塘那个补给站的时候和小萌说了什么？
我跟蒙光富说，其实不到最后一刻一切皆有可能，而且你在上一个点已经跟他追近了。对，我会给他加油鼓气。
Thanks a lot to translate. So Fu Zhao is doing the supporting role this time because she wants to support the champion. Luckily, you got the champion. So her role was different from running, and a lot of people are asking why she didn't run this time. That's her answer. At Xingmen Reservoir, at that checkpoint, she told Xiaomeng Guangfu, our champion, that is not much difference, distance left, and he could push a little bit further and catch up. Then that's what happened. Back to the studio.
Unbelievable, and you can tell Fu Zhao's competitiveness is coming out. Even as a supporter, she wanted to support the champion. But I want to hear a little bit more about Fu Zhao's strategy as checkpoint support. As a very experienced runner herself, what is she looking for when supporting an athlete coming through a checkpoint at a late stage in the race?
作为一个顶尖跑手，你自己对这个补给方案的理解是怎么样的？去怎么帮你队员去补给？你有什么一些诀窍在里边呢？
我可能会考虑到像我自己在赛道当中在补给站的时候，我需要一些什么。很多时候其实可能运动员其实是比较匆忙的，一直在追赶的状态，可能没有想到那么多。但是我是作为补给人员，我可能会为他想到更周全。比如他忘记吃盐丸了，我马上就把盐丸喂给他，就是我会为他考虑更多。
Okay, so it's a total change of role. As a supporter, she would think from outside, jump out of the box. In case, for example, when Meng Guangfu forgot to take the salt pills, she just stopped him. So that's as a supporter, she looked at it from another angle, and she could take care of him very well.
Yeah, we've got Jack. We've actually got Chen Lin coming in to about 2 minutes away from the finish line.
Back to studio.
So yeah, I mean we Zhang Fujiao, we'd love for you to stay there and hang out whilst we see Chen Lin approach the finish line. She's maybe a minute and a half away. She's just coming down the last bit of trail before then coming down to the finish line.
So Fujiao, we've had Chen Lin in the lead for most of today's race. Tell us about what about your impressions of her performance today, as she's a couple minutes away from the finish line.
陈琳马上要冲线了，你对陈琳今天的表现觉得怎么样？
其实他一直在进步，他也是在最近1年以来就是出现在我们的视线里边，然后也恭喜他获得冠军。
She has been improving a lot, especially in the recent year. We just see her getting lots of wins in the past year, and congratulations to her. She's coming to the finish line.
Okay, see you everybody. I will come back.
Yeah, she has to go as well. Got the whole teammate waiting for her in the car. Yeah. She has to stay here for us in the studio. Thank you for watching us.
See you next year.
We'll say goodbye to Zhang Fujiao, one of the great mainland elite runners on the international scene today. But yeah, we should be seeing Chen Li coming in at any moment now, and just what an impressive performance she's put out there today.
Yeah, so good. She got ahead after the first checkpoint and is just like held on and hammered throughout the day, and yeah, I think she's maintaining a lead of about an hour. And oh wow, look at her coming down this last bit of trail. She's absolutely gunning it down.
I mean, we heard Ryan commenting on her downhill form, those short, quick steps. That's really helpful as the legs get tired later in the race. Just keeping that cadence high on the downhills, and you can keep that momentum going.
Yeah, I don't know whether we've got Harry or Ryan on this, but yeah, it's yeah, so good seeing her come through. I'd love to keep that footage up, even if it's a picture-in-picture, so we can. So I know it's a bit choppy in and out.
Yeah, she's only a couple of minutes away from the finish line. So this is the part of the last section where you're off of the tarmac and you're onto that last little technical descent. So probably only a kilometer or less than that till the finish line. So I'm sure at the finishing chute, if we can get some video at the finishing chute, we'll probably hear her coming down and the reaction from the spectators before we see her.
We'll hear the cowbells ringing. Yeah, she's going to be coming off the trail any moment. You can see the lights from the finish line. Yeah, and just a feeling like you've got people like if you're finishing having been overtaken and a bit demoralised at Yope Chan, we saw him coming down this bit and just basically looking behind him to make sure he still had second in place. And then you've got when the adrenaline rush, if you know you've won it and you can't wait to get to that finish line, to see the applause, to see people like waiting to greet you in the finish line, to see your teammates. She's just can't wait to get there and get over that line.
I mean, she's been out there for a long day. It's 100 kilometers of real gnarly terrain that this athlete has been going over. but yeah, when you know that the finish line is in sight and there's no chance of anyone catching you, that extra spring in your step can come, and we can see her really attacking this last section, and she knows that the finish is coming soon. She's looking at her watch, looking at the distance, and she probably has a smile on her face, and I can't wait to see her cross that finish line. What an accomplishment this will be for a real impressive runner.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if this is going to be a record women's time. Fu Xiao, who we saw just there before, is the current record holder, which should be able to pull up. But you can see her coming now. This is it, turning down. It's such a great finish. Oh, sorry, this is one of the other male runners coming through. Is this?
Yeah, that looks like it's one of the men, and we will probably have Chen Lin coming in next. And I think they're getting the they're getting the tape ready.
That's Hui Bai coming in. I was trying to look at number 15. I mean.
Yeah, this little bit of technical trail at the end, it's not all the way down. You could see Chen going up a little bit of a climb, and then this is just that last little turn, and we will see her coming through at any moment now.
And she's at 16th overall in the race, so it's coming in 16th overall. And as she just turns right out here, she'll be able to see the finish line lights.
Yeah, and I think by this point in the race, she will know that her gap was very solid. She's not looking over her shoulder. She's just soaking this all in, and as well she should. A hard fought win all day long, really showing her class.
12 hour 45 minutes, and the cowbells are ringing. The still got. She's actually she's run all the way down there with her pole still up. You know, you'd think at this point she may have put them away, but
there we see the women's champion Chen Lin from mainland China. What an impressive performance.
Amazing.
Be a time of 12 hours, 44 minutes. But it's not just to look at the time. The conditions were hot out there, and she just showed the field that she was a level above today.
Yeah, she got in front after the first checkpoint and just dominated for the day.
比训练的时候好一点，因为我的同伴老说我训练的时候划水，可能我就是比赛型的吧，只有比赛能够让我兴奋度提高一些。
那你在那个整个过程当中，有其他的女选手有给到你挑战？
Just saying she was really excited during the race.
所以拿到这个成绩，我首先要感谢。能够同场竞技的这些优秀的选手们，没有他们可能激发不了我更多的潜能，所以和高手竞技一定能够提高自己。其实，在参赛之前，我一度对其他的精英选手是有所忌惮的，就按照自己的节奏跑。所以我想说，要相信绝望之后的希望，也要相信努力之后的可能，相信的力量，加油！
那今天很多完赛的选手跟我说，他觉得今天的天气
Really incredible. She was talking about how strong the rest of the field was and her nerves going into the race, wondering if she could keep up. But it really shows that if you have the strength in your legs and the mental toughness, you really can go out and have an impressive performance. And she really blew, I think, people away today.
Champion of the women race, ANTA Hong Kong 100 2024. Congratulations.
It just amazes me how she's just run tough 100K, 12 hours, 44 minutes. She gets to the finish line and she's just chatting once again, like she's just been on a Sunday walk.
I think it's almost unfair how quickly the microphone was put in front of her face. Yeah, she I don't think she had stopped her watch yet, and she was already answering her first question. I mean, but yeah, amazing. But I think for Chen Lin, she had such a nice gap that she had developed and worked hard for, that probably she knew that she had a little bit of comfort, and and we saw with Yeo Pei Chan, he was struggling in that last climb. We didn't see any of that struggle with Chen Lin, and I think that she probably knew that she was comfortable coming across the finish line and didn't need to push quite as hard during that last downhill, able to just stay relaxed and close that thing out. A real professional performance.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great run. And we were talking to Fu Xiao before, the Hoka-based athlete, the record holder, female record holder, and how she was crewing the winner from this year. I've actually just queued up the checkpoint at Shinmun. If we could just share my screen there and just show you coming out in second position in Shinmun Reservoir, how I just see him come through the checkpoint. So you can see her loading up his bag. Like this is amazing crewing, right? You're actually putting everything in your bag for you. Bam! There you go. It's in there for you. There's your bottles in there.
We can see Fu Jiao with the blue top just behind some of the other spectators there. But yeah, Fu Jiao knows what needs to be done at a checkpoint. She's been on the receiving end of checkpoint support. Really helpful to have experienced crew members who are also runners, because they often know both what you want and also what you need.
Yeah, and if we could just skip back to it though, because I'd love to be able to show you the exact point that he runs out of that checkpoint, because the speed at which he comes out of that checkpoint is just incredible. And he's coming out just with this absolute energy and belief that he can potentially catch the Yeo Pei Chan, the first point. So if you see him here, he's just he's heading out, quick checkpoint. But just look at this. Look, boom. It's out of there. That is an absolute sprint out of that checkpoint.
Yeah, for a runner who's been on his feet for 85 kilometers at that point, he must have known deep down that there was a shot, because if you think that you're just trying to hold on to a position, you often don't run with that type of intention. He had a job to do, and he did it. Just an amazing performance. I think just one of the most exciting finishes that we've seen here at the Hong Kong 100.
Yeah, that's where the race was won for me. And actually on the commentary point at that point, I was like, he's gone out fast. There's no way he's going to catch those 10 minutes. But as reflecting back, that was the bit. It's just it's such a mental game, this sport. And if you've got that belief, then it's they say 50% physical, 50% mental in these kind of distances. And I think he proved that today.
Yeah. I mean, you need to be physically ready for the distance. Just a strong mental game alone is not gonna get you a fast time in a course like this. But without the mental game, it doesn't matter how strong the legs are. You can get demoralized in a race this long. There's going to be low points, and you just need to fight your way through those. And I think we saw a number of the competitors today, going through challenging portions of the race and pulling things back together and finishing strong. So just some really amazing athletes out there showcasing their talent today.
Have there been any points for you, Jeff, in your running career where you've had had a real low point and you pulled out of it and had a really impressive result?
Yeah, so I mean, always, yeah, and I think the longer the distances are, the more likely you're going to have to battle through these low points. So in the first few 100K races that I had attempted, they were often in that team format where there are going to be points in the race where you're feeling low but you're trying to keep up with some of your teammates but you just need to trust in yourself and in your training that you can get through that point. And I think often it's about trying to figure out what's going wrong and trying to address that specific issue. And when in doubt, getting extra calories in you, if your stomach can handle it, is often a good thing to do, because this is about energy. You're just consuming a lot of energy, and if you're able to continue getting in calories, eating, taking in gels, taking in sports drink, that is going to help you keep the energy up and even sort of help get the composure back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's. I think that's really good advice. And I mean, as we've talked about, this is the very inaugural event of the World Trail Majors that's kicked off this. That's kicking off this season this year.
What a start!
I mean, what a start! It's been so good, isn't it? And I think that the thing that I love about both this race, but all of the races in this whole series, is just the sort of community nature of the event. And I've really felt it today, both in the chat and seeing all the socials. Like, this Hong Kong 100 is a community event, and I think that is what makes all of the races within this series special, is that they capture something incredible about the local community, the local environment, the local outdoors.
And we've heard some of the runners talk about World Trail Major events being on their calendar, right? So yeah, Madeira coming up, Mount Fuji 100. I think we're going to see a lot of the faces that we saw on the screen today showing up at some of these other events, and it's a really amazing set of races that they have. I've raced Trans Gran Canaria Advanced. I think that's one of the most iconic races in the world. Also, as a Canadian, Quebec Mega Trail being on the list, that's just a real gnarly Canadian trail race. And a race like Mount Fuji 100, going around Mount Fuji.
It's been on my bucket list for a long time.
Man.
Interestingly, out of all of these, like Mount Fuji's been on my bucket list for a long time, and the South Downs Way in the UK, 100 miler. I've mountain biked it. Extremely runnable course. Like, it is a fast miler, and it's right on my back door. And I think that hopefully we can do this kind of there can be this kind of coverage of that race as well. So I tell you what. Well, how about we bring up a video of the World Trail Majors that and everything we've got to look forward to in 2024. Pros, aren't we? I mean, pros.
Here we go. The 2023 Black Canyon 100K is off from the Bear track there, Arizona.
Arranca la Trans Gran Canaria, 128 kilómetros y 7.000 metros de desnivel positivo. Es cruzar Gran Canaria de norte a sur.
Desafiar tudo, a montanha, tudo o bom que tem na Madeira, que realmente nós
Everything is ready for the start of these 100 miles from the English city of Winchester to the city of Eastbourne, more than 400 runners of different nationalities have gathered today.
Avec Mega Trail. Alors vous avez différents liens qui peuvent être suivis. Position, le gagnant du QFT 110, Ugo Lavagnaga.
Everybody to the Ultra Trail Cape Town 2021, the 7th edition.
On your screen right now is this amazing scene up above Kloof Neck on the corner.
What are the main aims of World Trail Major, this collaboration?
Yeah, this is a quite flat organization, non-profit. It's formed by the several races. Actually, the number is 9. And the aims are preserving the authenticity of trail running, of keeping the real values under control, under what we consider is the right way to evolve the sport. And it's basically respect the environment, respect other competition, respect what's done in the past, and of course integrity, preserving these core values. Most of the runners, organizers, sponsors are established, and we all agree. And preserving also the identity of each race and not pretend to do all the same. It's a way to preserve a character, an important hardcore value of trail running, that is the diversity. It's region by region is different, evolve in a different way, and that's great in a sport that has some rules, but it's also a little, not chaotic, but a little not super standardized. We don't have the rules other sports have, and it is part of the beauty of this sport.
So, for race organizers in the World Trail Major Series, why is it so important for the races to remain independently managed by and organize it?
Yeah, as said, this is an organization has no owner, but the races that take part on these World Trail Majors. So it's owned by themselves. They can leave whenever they want. There is not a compromise to stay in the association for time or whatever. So if they don't agree, they are free to leave. But also because they have the control of the decisions they take, the way to promote it, the way to influence in the sport, the way to take the decisions is all together. There is not a boss and all have to obey the decisions.
So have you heard some kind of response, comments and reactions from the runners about this new series?
In general, has been a very good response. Of course, there's people that need more information than critics. Okay, it's part of the job. We have to accept them, and if we consider they are reasonable, we try to adopt it, because this is something live and that's something that will grow and evolve in many ways. For example, probably the most positive responses have been from the elite runners, because they really like the idea of the way of doing things and the way of managing. For general runners, for the typical runner, like 99% of us are, the response has been like an alternative, like a way to discover the world, to discover other places, other ways of practicing trail running, and in general has been very positive. And we take this as probably that we took a good direction.
So with Hong Kong 100 being the first race in the series, how excited are you to see it being,
Well, it's great because this has been prepared for quite a long time, and at the end there is only one first ever, and this is in Hong Kong. It's an honor to be here. It's great to, at the end, start in a physical way, not just plannings or not just PowerPoints or videos, So it is great that it starts in this event, and let's see how it gets. Of course, we will make mistakes. We know it. We will have to learn, because if not, our future is dark. But we have to start, and this is the right moment to do it. And it's great to do it here in Hong Kong. That it's one of the main races in the whole Asia. So it's all of these races are remarkable and very important in each region or country. And it's great to start here in a different race. For me, in my case, coming from Europe, it's very different to what I know, and I'm excited to do by myself also and run on the Hong Kong trails.
So that was, of course, Sergio Fernandez, the global head of comms from the World Trail Majors. Yeah, it's interesting hearing talk about the series there.
Yeah, this is an interesting development in the sport, of course. We've been following this sport for a long time. We've been running these races for a long time. I think what seems to have happened is there's been a clear concern on the part of many independently run races that they're just going to start to disappear from the pressure of big racing organisations that are setting up other franchises. And so this is an effort really to try and establish themselves as a cohesive unit to try and protect their independence and try and have a new offering effectively for top level athletes, where they can not just come and do interesting races, but it actually counts for something. There's some kind of association, some kind of sense of being part of a point series even through the ITRA system. So it's a bit more meaningful than just going and doing a 100k race like perhaps a more amateur level runner would. But it seems to be being fairly well received by runners, partly because I think there's a sense that this is more community oriented than perhaps the way they feel the sport is overall progressing.
Yeah, and I think whenever you go to run a race, and it's certainly for me as a mid-packer, the reason I got into trail running is to go and experience local places, and that can be like you're going to do it with a course anyway. You're going to see that local place, but if you have certain elements that bring in what it really means around that local community, then it has a very unique feel to it. And you know, even like watching the Hong Kong 100, like the cowbells and things, these are all part of like Hong Kong. Like when we going to I was at the Vietnam Mountain Marathon, another great race, and that's just got a real Vietnamese like feel to it, coming through all of the like, even down to like the t-shirts you get or anything. It feels like they really bring in the local community for the checkpoints and everything, the supporters, and so yeah, I think you don't want it to like races to become vanilla. Like everywhere you go, it feels like the same thing everywhere. So I think it's really great that this series enables these companies to these races to join up, but then also be able to keep their own identity.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens after this first year of the World Trail Majors, because this, of course, has become the first race ever in the World Trail Majors series, just because of the timing of when the race happens at the beginning of the year. There's going to be a whole calendar event of these races, and if people start enjoying the fact there is some level of competition now, if you do get a decent result, and I think at least 2 of these races, you basically get ranking points, which can end up meaning that you're the winner of the annual 2024, in this case, World Trail Majors series, which of course carries some prestige. So it's an interesting development, and one that we'll be sort of watching, because perhaps in 5 years from now this will be very established, and this will just be a memory of the way that the sport developed, or perhaps again there'll be another new organisation. But just as we cut back to the race course here, another strong finisher powering through the finish line. Still lots of action on the race course. It's always nice to see runners sprint through the finish tape, just as we're seeing here. We're just catching up now. That's, of course, Alexei Melnik, a runner who we've seen a lot in Hong Kong in the last couple of years, sponsored by the T8 running brand, a very popular brand here in Hong Kong. And he's really had a strong year. He's a pretty big, strong runner, and it's interesting for us to be sat here because, relatively speaking, we're also on the sort of tall and slightly heavy side for ultra running, and it's inspiring to me certainly to see runners like that do so well in races like this, because it's not easy keeping up with what has tended to become in recent years in this highly competitive environment more like a mountain goat sport. Runners are starting to be slightly smaller, slightly lighter, slightly leaner, and if you're on the sort of 80 kilogram plus side, as probably we both are, you find that you simply need to eat so much, drink so much. It's pretty hard going trying to keeping up with these guys. But there's a big, strong guy who's showing that you know, if you train enough and you've got the right technique, you can still cut it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Tyler Green. Tyler Green actually looks fairly tall as well, but obviously very very lean. But yeah, I mean, I think that you look at the sort of, well, sitting next to Jeff now, he's very slight, and you can see why he's got a good frame for running. But yeah, I mean, Killian is kind of like a similar kind of, as you say, mountain goat style. But yeah, I mean, there sort of seems to be a sort of like, it's good to see the loftier and heavier runners still coming through in the top 20 as well.
No doubt. We're just also checking in, of course, on the finish line for the remaining female leaders to take up the podium. We had Chen Lin come through at 8:44 p.m. local time in Hong Kong. That's now 15, almost 20 minutes ago, and we're expecting that the second-placed female, Li Ying, should come through around 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes behind that, which means, if my maths is correct, which it probably isn't,
around 25 minutes.
That's about another 20 minutes to go. It's been a really enthralling race today, both in the men's and the women's field. It's no longer the case as it used to be when we were first reporting on races and filming races, that there would be a pretty big gap between the first, second and third placed females. I remember as I was filming races years ago, we would often film the first place female and the second place female, and then honestly we'd have to wait 2 hours sometimes for that podium to be complete. The competition is so much stronger now, the talent pool is so much deeper, and as we saw just now with Chen Lin's performance, I mean, she's just knocking out 90% of the male field, and honestly, we mentioned this earlier in the race, she looks better and sounds better than most of the men who finished before her when it comes to that post-race interview. She's so much more coherent, and I really think there's a lot to be learned about the pacing from the way that the women's race takes place for a lot of us guys. We simply usually set off too fast, get swept up in that aggressive way of kicking off races, and then we end up finding, as I know I have in races, and you may be too, you're being overtaken by a lot of the female field in the last 20k of the race in a 100k event.
Yeah, and I think Li Ying as well. She looks like she's going to finish coming in both second and female, but in the top 20 males, across the whole course as well. But yeah, I think pacing is really interesting. I think, you know, it's almost like a sort of bravado testosterone thing of like men at the start line sort of just go out way too hard. But yeah, I think like just females tend to run far more intelligently and just to pace themselves from the beginning. I mean, one person that we know is an extremely good pacer is, we've spoken to a lot of T8 runners, is John Ellis, and he, we actually caught up with him before the race. I think he's going to be coming in soon as well. But he's and as a leader of the T8 run, of which Jeff's part of, and some of the runners that we've seen come in and interviewed with Ludovic and Ryan, like I think his ethos of being able to really pace yourself in the races. He's been a really good coach to all of his team as well. But yeah, it would be really good if we can bring up the interview with John Ellis.
Yeah, let's play that video in. We've got that video lined up, ready to go. It's the interview with John Ellis, who of course is one of the legends of this event, because he's one of the only people to have done the race every single time since it began. He's run the race 13 times, and what's particularly impressive about that is he's done it every single time under 14 hours, which is no mean feat, because, you know, everybody gets older, but maybe not John. He seems to manage to get faster and faster, because actually he's faster now than he was the first year he did it consistently, despite the fact that was 13 years ago. So if we can, let's play that video in. We'll see the interview here with Hong Kong 100 running legend John Ellis.
So what is it that's so special about this race? Well, you know, for me, Hong Kong 100, it's the iconic Hong Kong race. It was the first solo 100K in Hong Kong. First year was 2011. I got here in 2010. So, you know, I was lucky enough to get here at the right time to be doing it every year. And just for me, it just represents Hong Kong in so many different ways. You know, it takes us, you know, on such an iconic course. You know, a lot of it's on the Macklehose, which is, you know, the same course as the Trail Walker race, which is Hong Kong's, you know, original 100Ks, but it's a team race instead. And then, you know, just the community gets behind it. It's the race that's represented Hong Kong all this time, because it was the one that was on the Ultra Trail World Tour. Now it's part of the World Trail Majors. And it's got amazing organisation. It's one the community really gets behind. You know, for us, it's the race.
Speaking of the community of Hong Kong, what's so special about the trail running community here? Can you just, you know, tell us? a bit more?
Yeah, it's just so tight. And I think one of the great things with Hong Kong is it's so many people in such a small place. 7 million people in a place that's probably the size of, I don't know, like New York City, but smaller maybe. And so you have this big population density, which means there's a lot of interest in having lots of races, because a lot of trail runners need to have a lot of choice for races. So in any given weekend you might have 4 or 5 different trail races. At the end of the day, that just means there's a lot of opportunities for all of us to catch up. So community is really tight, whether it's racing together, pushing each other, volunteering for races, just helping each other. And I think the other thing is it's just such a global community as well. Hong Kong's just such a melting pot of different cultures and nationalities. And we're all very accepting of all of that, and that just makes it such a fabulous community to be a part of.
It is true there's so many really wonderful people in this community, and so for the international audience, can you tell us a little bit more about the Hong Kong trails? What's so special about the trails in Hong Kong and what you can see?
Yeah, there's just a bit of everything, which is, the variety is just amazing. So, you've obviously got mountains. So if I had to complain about the Hong Kong trails, I'd love to have a 3,000 metre mountain. We've got a few sort of 1,000 metre mountains, but that's still, I can't complain because there's just so many of them. Did a charity run the last month, for example, and we tried to climb Hong Kong's top 10 peaks in a day, and they're all over 750 metres, so you've got lots of choice. So you've got good mountains, you can find, they're generally fairly technical, or you've got some stairs. That's probably the one big thing about Hong Kong is, some of the steeper sections tend to be, staired up. But at the same time, you've got some really good beach trails, you've got some good double track, some single track. It just crisscrosses the whole territory, because you do have this 7 million people just wanting to go different places all the time. And I think probably the best, coming to Hong Kong 100, I think it's always a good reminder, because you're running down Sha Tin Pass Road and you just see the internationals who are running here for the first time. They look to the left and they see Kowloon just open up in all its skyscraper splendor. And I think that's one of the great things about Hong Kong is, like, when you get to these mountains, you've got nature here, but right next to it you've got global city metropolis with skyscrapers, and that juxtaposition of trail right next to city is just, it's so unique over here. And from a practical point of view, it also means that where I live, I'm a 10-minute run to the CBD, but I'm also a 10-minute run to a national park. And I don't think there's many cities around the world that are big cities where you could actually say that.
Yeah, it's really very true. I've been interviewing so many people, and they're just talking about how unique Hong Kong trails are. And speaking of runners, the mainland Chinese runners, they've been doing so great. Do you have any insights that you can give us? Like, how can they improve so much in the past few years?
Yeah, it's been actually amazing. When I did the first Hong Kong 100 in 2011, and admittedly it wasn't a big race back then, but even going forward to 2013, 14, you were starting to get a few Chinese runners come through. There were some really fast ones. I think the amazing thing about Chinese running these days is they've got so many world-class athletes, but it's how deep the field is as well. It's not hard to find a whole bunch of plus 900, plus 850 ITRA score runners over there. And so, yeah, it's amazing to see. They're on our doorstep, they're coming over and competing with us. So, yeah, look, they give us a run for our money, and often, it's eating their dust, which is fine. But I think, that having that nucleus of runners pushing each other, I think that's been great. It seems like the government's generally been trying to encourage trail running. And I think, when you've got some amazing trails like China has, and a population of 1.3 billion people, and a government that supports it, I think it's a pretty powerful combination. So it's not a surprise to see so many runners emerge and become elites on a global stage.
So my last question is that what strategies do you have to just keep running, keep going, and any tips that you can give to anyone who's trying to push the boundaries to improve themselves?
Generally, or for Hong Kong 100?
Just generally.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you want to get better at something, you've got to pick something that you love. Because to get better at something requires dedication and passion and persistence, and it's really hard to do that if it's something that you don't love. So first of all, pick something that you love. I think having friends doing that as well really helps. For me, a lot of my long training runs are with friends, and when you've got to crank out a 30, 40k long run, doing it with friends who push you. You can have a little bit of friendly competition, but a lot of it's just chatting. Makes the training super easy. At the end of the day, as you get older as well, you just got to look after your body. Probably something I didn't do that well over the years. I'm belatedly learning. But looking after your body, eating well, sleeping well, not drinking so many beers as as I'm told a few times. But all of those things, and picking something that you love, and being persistent and sticking with it.
Actually, last question. Since you're such a veteran, what tips can you give to people? I mean, because you've done it every single year.
Okay,
so any tips, any things that you can basically give to people who are considering maybe joining next year?
Yeah, like probably the 2 tips I would say for Hong Kong 100. One is, well, 3 tips. One is pacing. It's a very back-end loaded course. A lot of the big tough climbs, Ma On Shan, Beacon Hill, Grassy Hill, Needle, Tai Ma Shan, they're all in the second half in the last 45 Ks. And so it's really easy to go out a bit fast, because a lot of the first half is very runnable. So, I'd say probably just go a bit easier. Maybe it's got to feel a little bit slow for the first half, but that'll keep you, still moving well in the second half. I'd say secondly, especially for people who aren't based in Hong Kong, you got to practice stairs. When all the internationals come over here, they're always surprised at the stairs, and it's different muscles that you use versus an incline or a decline, coming up or down. So definitely practice those. You just want to get your muscles strong enough, but also, you want to get your technique right as well, because the difference between a fast stairs and slow stairs, can be a lot for especially some of the elites. And then the third thing is, just be careful with the weather. It might feel cool at the start line. It's easy to think, I can push a little bit harder. But the weather here is tricky, especially this year. It looks like it's going to be 24 degrees, 80% humidity. That humidity sneaks up on you. You end up sweating a lot more because of the humidity, but you don't get that evaporation cooling benefit because it just doesn't evaporate here. It's too humid. So the other thing is just to be careful of the weather and just realize that, the sweat's not getting you as much benefit, and just, take it easy.
Okay, of course, that was John Ellis. And just quickly, here's another finish line champion coming through, another legend of the Hong Kong running scene. That is, of course, Zhang Kengqi. That's, of course, Ying Ying, as he's known to his friends, the flying eagle of the Hong Kong running scene, celebrating at the finish line. An amazing athlete. He's doing the Grand Sam, of course, the big 3 races. He did the 33K on Thursday, the 50K on Friday, and, of course, now the 100K on Saturday. And he still looks incredibly fresh, like he just went out for a jog. Incredible performance from him. It looks like he'll probably be the winner of the Grand Sam.
He is the winner,
it's hard to
yeah.
imagine anybody could beat him if he's managed to come through the 100K this quickly. Really incredible performance. We'll try and catch up with him after the race. He's so well loved in Hong Kong. We see him on the race course all the time. I've raced against him so many times. Usually somewhat next to him for the first half of the race. First 2/3 of the race, but probably not usually the last third of the race. But just listen to him celebrating here at the finish line. Just thanking everybody there, of course, congratulating all the other athletes. A very humble runner, and one that we've always enjoyed running against. He's always got such a laid-back attitude about racing. Incredible athlete.
我走嘅時候，我未走啊，我見到英英走，我以為佢搭車走，結果見到佢踩單車。你係咩構造啊？請問？
Here's just asking him about the fact that he's well known for not just being a runner but also a cyclist, because he's actually a very successful triathlete and often travels around Asia competing in big races here.
一定要跑啦係嘛？唔跑，係啊。
Promising to race again.
7年啦，揸馬其實做可能下年啦，係啦。如果唔撞就下年啦。其實解嗰成績都 OK 嘅，不過太密啦，係啦。要跑揸馬嘅人加油！
Everybody else, good luck, who's still to come through the finish line. Amazing again, just how fresh some of these runners look. And this is 3 days of solid racing.
3 days of racing, yeah.
I was chatting to him a week ago when he had actually done another race 2 weeks earlier, just cramming it into what, of course, is a very busy Hong Kong running schedule. But he only decided to do the Grand Sam 2 weeks ago. I mean, very recently, from what I remember. This was not a long-term plan of his. He simply thought, as he often does, as so many of these types of super strong runners do, well, look, the weather's beautiful. I've got nothing else to do on Thursday and Friday. If I'm going to do the 100K...
So he'd already signed up to the...
why not just do all three?
He'd signed up to the 100K already, and then he was like, why don't I just do the...
I recall, he's one of a couple of runners here in Hong Kong who have done that, and it's just amazing. It's partly, I suppose, just a real measure of how the running community here is so in love with these trails that we have, and they are so accessible that it makes this kind of thing so tempting, because it's not a huge commitment like I think it often is when you're living somewhere where it's going to take you 3 or 4 hours, potentially a plane flight, to even get to the start line. I mean, this guy, like all of us, frankly, are just going to get home in 20 minutes. And so suddenly the idea of doing 3 races in 3 days is not that big a deal, because you can get there, you can get home. And that's in some ways a perfect analogy for why the Hong Kong running scene is so popular and so well loved.
And to put his performance into perspective as well, he's been competing against Sangay Sherpa in the Grand Slam, who is just one of the top ultra runners around the world in terms of just doing consistently long distance. This is someone who's raced 3,000 kilometers in 2023, just purely in races, and is currently coming in third in the Grand Slam. And Liang Disi is the person coming in second. Is actually just probably like about. In fact, not far behind Chung Kiet, actually. He's going to be coming. So Chung Kiet's coming, just finished top 20. Finish top 20 after having raced 2 days before, a 33 and 50K. But yeah, really impressive field. We had 114 people competing in the Grand Slam. And if we just go to the Grand Slam top 3 there, you'll be able to see that. They're Chung Kiet, you can see now he's added his finish for Hong Kong 100 on there as well. But yeah, we've also down at the finish line we've got the winner of the Hong Kong 100 female race, who we're going to catch up with now.
That's right. Chen Lin is down at the finish line with our star reporter and star drone cameraman Jack Yao, who's been on the course all day. Jack, we're going to come over to you in a moment if you're ready, and we're going to ask you to hand over to the amazing Chen Lin from today's race. Jack, please introduce Chen Lin to us, introduce Chen Lin to the world of our live stream. Chen Lin, it's amazing to see you there. Jack, please take it away and ask Chen Lin how she felt during her incredible victory today.
Cool. Thanks, Rich. Now we have our female champion, Chen Lin. Originally from Shanxi province in North China. So we have her now with us. 好，格格，说一下今天的比赛的整个的感受是怎么样的？
这场比赛是我刚刚开始跑步就特别期待的一场。之前因为没有中签，今年好不容易中签了，所以我特别享受港版的赛道，不论是它的氛围，还是它的完善的保障，还有就是整个跑者的这种热情，让我感受到了大赛的氛围，所以我明年还会再来的。
Okay, she's full of passion about Hong Kong 100. Previously, she tried to get the lucky draw, the lottery, but she was not lucky to get it. But this year, she made it. She can run Hong Kong 100. So to her, the whole course was really good, and also the atmosphere for her is very special. She has been expecting this race for a long time, and she really enjoyed it. Finally, she's here, and she already told us she will be back next year.
Amazing, Jack. Let's also find out just how she found racing in Hong Kong, how familiar she is racing in Hong Kong, because it must be a challenge for runners who don't live here coming and experiencing these trails. Just see maybe what she feels about the Hong Kong trails compared to racing in Shanxi, which, as you say, is not across the border in Guangzhou. It's not in Shenzhen like some of the runners who come here. Indeed, she's come a lot further to come down here to race.
OK， 格格说一下，就说因为这是在香港的比赛，又会潮热，会湿，跟我们在北方或者是在其他地方比赛会截然不同。你是怎么准备香港这个100这个比赛的？
在比赛之前有在赛道上面训练了几天，就是挑一天当中最热的时候去跑。 对，然后再加上之前在深圳生活的时间比较久一些，可能耐热比较好一点点吧。
在深圳生活了多久？
有2年。
到现在一直有2年。
对，对。
So, a few days before the race, she came on the course at the moment, actually the hottest hour of the day, to get used to it, and also she has been living in Shenzhen for 2 years, which also helped a lot for her.
Very good, Jack. And Jack, can you just ask around how she got in first position after the first checkpoint, and how she just maintained that throughout the day? So, like, was she concerned about second or third place, or was she confident that she was going to stay in the lead for the entire race?
Okay. 如果就是第一站就开始领先了，那后面就是有没有就心里有没有这种紧张感？就是后边的第2或第3那些选手会追上你，是怎么保持着第一的，一直这样持续下来的，持续输出？
其实我在前2个站排名是没有特别领先的，我就想着，因为赛前有公布精英名单嘛，我看到2位国际选手成绩都那么优秀，我其实是有一点点的担忧的。我就觉得就还是按照自己的节奏去跑，至于结果，我觉得过程大于结果。我要去向比我更强的人去学习。对，然后呢，其实拿到这个成绩，我是很意外的。
Okay, she's very, very humble. So, the first couple of checkpoints, she was not leading. And before the race, she went through the elite list. She saw a couple of runners actually quite high in the ranking, the ITRE ranking. She was a little bit worried and nervous at the beginning. Then, after certain point, she was leading. She's thinking, oh, just enjoy the whole progress instead of the result, not focus on result, but just enjoy the moment and go for it. And she was extremely happy with the result now.
And Jack, you've been following Chinese runners coming to Hong Kong, and indeed Chinese runners travelling the world over the last few years. Maybe is there anything you'd like to ask her from your experience of travelling and following so many Chinese runners around the world? From your experience asking a champion like that sat next to you, what are the sort of main things that you're interested to learn from her?
To me, it's all about how she can be so stable. Yeah, I was in Beijing last summer. She won the Chongli 168 200K category. Then in Sanong, she won the longest distance, 100 miles again in December. And right after, she was here. So this is the point I was really thinking, how can you maintain the high level at that point? Because quite some elite runners, they go up and down. We have seen that. But to me, it's very surprised to see her maintaining the same level. I can ask the question.
Please do, please do.
有个说一下，就说我们看过很多这个精英选手，他们就是有一个怎么说，上浮下降的过程，这状态不是一直这样很恒定的。你是怎么保持这个持续输出的？我看到你崇礼拿了冠军，看到你年底在泰国拿了冠军，这次转眼到港澳版又拿了冠军，怎么保持持续输出？
可能就是要压一压自己的配速，在前面不要冲得太快。还有就是在赛前要对路况尽量熟悉一点，比如说港百的赛道，它的后半程的爬升要比前半程大，那就意味着我们在前半程要保留更多的体能给后半程。所以我觉得笨鸟先飞嘛，提前了解赛道，可能对于比赛真的有非常大的帮助。
Okay. Her secret is about to know the course better, to come a little bit earlier to get familiar with it and plan ahead. For example, this time in Hong Kong 100, she did the test and she found out the first half is relatively easier comparing to the first half. So she said, I had to keep my pace. And in that case, in the second half, she could really stick on and keep moving.
Well, 非常恭喜. I mean, amazing effort. We must congratulate her for her incredible performance. Scott, is there anything else you'd just like to mention to Chun-Li after her amazing run today?
I mean, just congratulations. The consistency of, and to run Doyethenon just recently, which was such a difficult course on the 100-miler as well, and a few weeks later to put in the performance, just bravo, congratulations.
Can I add a little bit more, because we had a chit chat with her already.
Please.
I asked her about her race planning for the rest of the year.
Yeah, please tell us. We'd be interested to know. Can she come back to Hong Kong anytime?
OK，格格，接下来会参加哪些大赛？
美国西部100的比赛以及项目里的 UTMB， 这是我2024年最重要的2场比赛。我会把更多的精力还有更多的时间，留给这2场比赛的训练，希望能够跑出自己的理想的成绩吧。
Okay, so it's gonna be another 2 big races for her. In the coming June, she will be in the Western 100. She won the golden ticket from Doyin Sanong, 100 miles. And after that, she will be going to France for UTMB Chamonix. So we're expecting to see her in the international stage.
We wish her all the very best in her year of racing, and of course we'll be following her progress and looking forward to seeing her here in Hong Kong again. Thank you so much to Chen-Lin and also to Jack for doing the interview for us, and we'll look forward to seeing her again next time. Thanks, Chen-Lin. We'll come back to the studio now. What an amazing performance, Scott. And again, another classic example of a runner who just is so smooth, so impressive, so accomplished, and yet really so humble. For them, it's just not that big a deal. They're not that showy about their achievement.
They're all very humble, aren't they, the Chinese athletes? I mean, look, you're very plugged into this sport. I like cover this sport on a podcast, but I've got to admit, I actually don't know enough about a lot of these incredible Chinese athletes. And one of the big reasons for that is actually that most of their racing is domestically in China, and I don't cover those races as much. But wow, there is some absolutely world-class talent there, and it will be interesting to see some of these athletes like branch out a little bit more and like attend a few more of these races across Asia.
That's right, and we'll just actually head back to the finish line just to see the shot at the finish line, because speaking of amazing athletes, we're expecting the 2nd and 3rd placed female runners to come in the next 15 minutes or so, and we'll obviously be keen to see that. We want to see the female podium just as we've covered the men's podium in this event. If we can just bring that image full screen, we'll see, of course, the athlete here racing down the trail with our cameraman there, just to complete the picture of this whole event. And just while we take the time to see this, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been involved in today's stream. Please, if you've enjoyed this, please share the link, leave more comments on the live stream feeds that we can dissect later, and really treat this as a stepping stone towards doing more projects like this, streaming this event in the future, growing the audience for the Hong Kong 100 and all of Hong Kong's big trail racing events, because it's such a pleasure to share these trails and share the inspirational stories of this event with the rest of the world. So please make the most of sharing this link as best you can, and tell us more about how you enjoyed the stream, and suggestions, of course, for how we can develop this further. It's been a real treat to try and offer this to you over the past, 13 and something hours. But I'll hand over to Jeff Campbell again now to usher him back into the studio as we try and wrap things up today. We'll be covering the end of the female race, the 2nd and 3rd place runners coming in. We just heard the voice there of, I think, our cameraman Ryan Whelan, saying around 800 meters to bring the female race home. I'll step aside so Jeff can step in, and we'll try and do our best to do this justice for what is an increasingly dark but nevertheless inspiring last few moments of the Hong Kong 100 for the podium finishers.
Yeah, so we heard from the winner of the female race there, Chen-Lin, winning with a time of 12 hours 44. We're just waiting for 2nd place Li Ying to get to the finish line. whilst we were interviewing Chen Lin, we also had one of the international athletes, a European runner by the name of Alexandra Bachot, who came in with a like 20-second spot. But yeah, as we see Li Ying running down this last bit of technical steps. Before getting to the finish line.
And what a race by Li Ying. A really tough field. Some strong mainland Chinese runners, Hong Kong runners, and international in the women's field. And she's held on to what looks like a second place finish. Amazing performance. And you mentioned Alexandra Boucher, one of the French runners. Really shows you how some of the international runners coming in can have good days or tough days out there. And it was a hot day with some difficult terrain. I think it challenged all the athletes out there.
Yeah, one of the global elites. I mean, he came 21st in UTMB. He's come in 21st today, or 22nd, I think. But he also came top 10 in Raid Diagonal, one of the toughest in Reunion Island, one of the toughest ultras in the world. That one, and to come in top 10 there. But, Hong Kong is just, I heard from his crew who, said he was complaining of the heat today. But yeah, it doesn't look like Li Ying's suffered from the heat today. Although we did actually see her going through Shunmin Reservoir and say she was struggling to take on food, but hasn't slowed her down. She's kept up a really, really strong pace in that last 15K.
Yeah, it's usually a good strategy to try to keep eating, try to keep those calories down, but these runners know their bodies, and sometimes if you know the food's not going to stay down, or if you're comfortable with how you're able to progress, and you have 15, 16 kilometers to go, so sometimes the smart thing is to just dig deep and just grind it out. But she looks like she's moving pretty well here.
Yeah, very well, and this is just it's very close to the finish line now. We've got one of the male athletes just crossing over. He's getting out of the way quickly for the.
He made it over the top of the tape, hurdle style. That's a
good effort. That's Huang Zhenglong.
And here we have Li Ying. Oh, and one more male finisher coming through.
Li Kei. Yeah, that was Li Kei just coming over the line there. And if we can cut back to the finish line, because we're going to have Li Ying cross the finish line.
Yeah, we don't want to miss the live shot of that, and just looking at her splits all day long, she has crossed every single timing mat in either second or third place. She was third across the mat in Hampton at that first CP, and then held second place throughout the day. Just the picture of consistency, and she's hearing those cowbells, and she can see the finish line right here ahead of her.
Ryan Whelan, the pro, turning off his head torch, and as we see her cross the finish line,
what a performance! Yeah,
enjoy it, own it. What a finish!
Oh, what an amazing performance! Yeah,
and I was just saying to Richard there how I don't know too much of these athletes, but she's been racing this past year in 2023. She's done over 10 races in China with first or second position in every race. She's won the last 4 races in a row that she's run in China. Just so incredibly consistent.
Yeah, and sometimes with the Chinese races, you don't know exactly how high of quality the field is. They have some very competitive races there, but often mostly local competitors. But you come into Hong Kong, and you're really going to be tested against the best, and she held her own today.
Yeah, finishing in the time of 13:40.
风景特别好，尤其是夜景特别漂亮，志愿者也很热情。
应该是第一次来香港比赛吧？
是的，是的。
那明年、后年、大后年，未来的10年、20年还会再来吗？
会来，会来。
来我们港百哦。谢谢，谢谢，恭喜！安踏香港100 2024 100公里女子组的亚军李英，恭喜 ！Congratulations！
So we just saw Li Ying, the second place finisher in the women's race, and we still have the third place to come through, and it's going to be an interesting battle for that. We've had Ma Ting holding on third place for much of the afternoon and evening, but some strong runners behind her. Wu Yuanwan has looked strong and has been moving steadily up the field all day long, and it's going to be interesting to see how much of a gap she can close. And if we'll have another battle over Tai Mo Shan like we saw in the men's race.
Yeah, I mean, she was only just like a few minutes behind Lev Mine Pass, the last checkpoint. So, yeah, there's always a chance for Wu Yunyan to be able to catch up and take a podium spot here. She was just 7 minutes behind there. Yeah, as we saw from the men's race, anything can happen in that in the last part of the race.
Absolutely. Yeah. At this stage of a race, we're almost 14 hours into the race. The speed differentials between some of the athletes can really be dramatic at this point of the race. If you've been able to pace it right and keep your energy, you could be moving just as fast at the finish as you did at the start. But if your stomach goes, or if you're having any cramping or any other physical issues, you can really slow down. So what you can see at in the last couple of stages is some really dramatic moves up and down the finishing charts, and we saw that in the men's race, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of that in the women's race as well.
Yeah, there's been some. There's been some really, really great performances, but it's been a hot day out there. I was just like looking at some of the comparative times to last year, and like Man Yi was the winner last year. I think in around 13 and a half hours. So seeing that 12:44 for the winner in Chen Li is pretty impressive. But I mean, especially look at it. She was like almost an hour, 55 minutes ahead of second spot. Like, just like very, very impressive run.
Absolutely, and yeah, comparing times to last year, in the sport of ultra running, even on the exact same course, races on different days are different races, and I think the conditions out here today were hot. We were talking at the start line that it looked like it'd be a pretty nice day for running, but we heard from the athletes that it was a real battle out there against the conditions. I think that early sun really makes it tough. If you start sweating too much early on in the race, you start feeling that heat early on, it can be difficult to turn back the clock and to undo that damage. You get cooked, and there's no way to uncook.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the athletes, and we've talked a lot about Nepal today, but one of the next male athletes to expect at the finish line is Ngugo Yam,
yes.
An absolute legend of the Hong Kong trail running scene, finisher of the four trails. His iconic smile that he portrays at every point during a race, no matter how tough he's finding it, he manages to maintain just this positive outlook. And we'll look forward to seeing him come to the finish line. But I think we're going to see the. So I thought we're going to see the winners. Oh, there he is, Ngugo Yam.
Hey.
There he is.
And that big smile, we don't even need to see this on the screen. We could probably spot that smile from Corey Bay down in the studio.
I don't think he actually needs a headlamp when he runs, because his teeth, the gleaming of his teeth, should light up the trail in front of him. So good to see him get over the finish line. And Yeah, in 13 hours 45.
It's a performance to be proud of. There's still some really strong runners out on the course today, and he put in a big performance. So congratulations to Hugo. Looking at some of the runners still out on the course, we have Sanjay Sherpa doing the Grand Slam, and he's in 35th position overall. So he probably has maybe another 30-40 minutes to go on the course. We have David Longo, who's a member of the Australian international trail running team, and he's looking like he's having a strong race. John Ellis, who's doing his 14th edition of the Hong Kong 100, and in true John Ellis style, if you look at his splits, he came through the first timing mat at the end of East Dam in the 250th position. And he has worked his way through the field, and he went through Lead Mine Pass in 39th. There's not too many runners who can say that they've moved up 200 plus positions in a race to finish inside the top 50. But for those who know John, that's not a huge surprise.
We played his interview there before, and he talked about pacing and how it's key, and he is absolutely the master of it. And yeah, to go from 250 to 164th place, 111, and then bring it all the way down to come in 39th, it's just a classic. And it looks like, I don't think he's done sub 14 hours every year. I'm not quite sure if he's going to make that sub 14.
No, it doesn't look like sub 14s in the cards, but he's coming back from an injury, and I think to keep this streak alive of just finishing every single edition, and it'll be sub 15 for sure.
Yeah.
That's a real achievement, and he's a real popular guy in the Hong Kong trail running community. There's going to be a lot of people who will be cheering as he comes across the line.
For sure.
But I also I want to give a shout out to all those poor runners who have been passed by John Ellis through the day. As someone who's been passed in the late stages of a race by John Ellis, it can be quite demoralizing to have some guy skipping through, because he's managed his energy so well throughout the race, and he'll often look fresher at the end than he does at the midway point.
I've got a funny story about that. I remember running the Lantau 70, and this was a few years ago. I mean, I've become a better runner since, but I was at Lantau 70. You go over Sunset Peak, and then sorry, what's the second biggest
Lantau.
peak? Lantau Peak, of course.
Yeah.
So Sunset Peak and then Lantau Peak, and I remember getting to the top of Lantau Peak, about 20 odd K into the race, and it was only at that point that John Ellis passed me, and I was like, okay, yeah, I've screwed this up. And I ended up having a very long, hard, dark day out there. And John ended up winning it in just this incredible time. He was putting in 4-minute kilometers along the catchwater at the end. Just class pacing.
Yeah, we all have one of those stories. I mean, for me, it was at the Green Power 50, which is a classic 50K race along the Hong Kong Trail, and I was leading the race. It was actually my first 50K race, so I was stepping up in distance, and I thought I had him, and we were on the catchwater just before the Dragon's Back, about 10-12K left in the race, and I was starting to slow down. And all of a sudden, I could hear the footsteps coming behind me, and he passed me. There must have been a 45-second a kilometer difference in pace. He blew by me, my confidence just went in the tank. There was no way I was keeping up with him. So some of these veterans, they know exactly what pace they need to hold to cross the finish line.
Yeah, and actually, does he actually coach you and the team about that? Does he try and encourage this kind of this skill around pacing?
Well, I think he does it to an extreme, and that pacing strategy, I think there are elements of it which most runners can apply to themselves. In that, if you're feeling like the pace is about right really early on in an ultra, you're probably going a little bit too fast. You're going to do more harm than good by going a little bit fast early on, But he does it to an extreme, and I think for some of us, if you leave that much work to do in the second half of a race, it can be difficult to pull in the speed like he does at the end. So, but he often tries to encourage runners to experiment with their pacing and maybe hold things back a little bit and then preserve that pace. He's also a real data-driven runner, so he'll look at how much both himself and other runners slow down as the race goes on, and really trying to learn those lessons in terms of, was the speed right, or could you have gone faster? What did your pace drop off statistically in the second half? And you can learn a lot of lessons by digging into the data.
Yeah, I think, and it goes like whatever level you are. And obviously we're talking about some of like the elites here, but even just if you're going to be mid or back of the packer, like actually there's always this like start line that you feel you need to use the energy while you got it, but it's just a really bad idea to go out too hard.
Absolutely, and we've watched some of the best runners in the world on this beautiful course all day. But yeah, a lot of the things that these elites are doing to stay at such a high level or to get to that high level, runners of all skill levels can apply a lot of those fundamental lessons. As a runner, you get stronger by training, by consistency. I love the expression of you can't tear a phone book in half all at once. You need to go page by page, and that's how all these athletes out on the course get themselves into the shape by putting the work in every day, consistently getting their training in, and all those tips like nutrition and pacing. What works for the elites will often work for people at all parts of the pack, and a lot of us, we run to not just smash course records or get on podiums, but just to improve our performance, and you can learn a lot just by listening and by asking questions. When you see some of these elites, what they're doing, you could probably learn a few lessons for yourself. Yeah,
it's one of the only sports in the world where you can literally be competing with what you deem your heroes, just these super elites, and you're on the same field. Like imagine as a football fan, for me, being able to play football with Steven Gerrard. Well, we've actually this is the third spot female coming through now. This is Martin.
Yeah. And
wow, she's going really fast as well.
2 minutes. And she's about 2 minutes away right now. Mating, third lady in what was a great ladies' race.
It's close.
We've had action both of the races today, and Mating has been the picture of consistency. She went through the first checkpoint in sixth place at Ham Tin, and then moved up through the field into fifth at Hao Tong, and then fourth at Pak Shao, and then at Gilwell into third place, and she's held on to third. I think she has a little bit of a gap on the fourth place finisher, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was keeping her looking over the shoulder, because a top three finish is going to be a great result. She's not going to want to lose that in the final kilometer.
Yeah, another a Chinese racer that's only really raced domestically in the past year, but yeah, I mean has had podium top three finishes in pretty much all the races from this past year, and she's taking that into the has taken that into Hong Kong 100. Oh, what great footage, and her son with her as well. Beautiful moment.
Amazing.
Oh, big hug for Mummy. Oh, that's so good.
You got it. Yeah? Thank you. Strong. Each day, fast. Yeah? Well done. Good job.
That's Wu Yanren, who's
done. Close up.
Wow. Okay.
So we did have a lead change.
We did have a lead change.
Unbelievable.
会有一点影响，还是挺热挺晒的，然后再加上第一个30点出发时候很凉快，所以一拉扯，你知道带着他把第3超到什么感觉？立马就爆掉了。
你不要虚我，好吧？
你觉得
你不要再虚我，你太多不礼貌。
103公里的路程，你在哪个阶段你觉得自己最辛苦吗？
最辛苦
She's
的。
just explaining how much she sped up in the last part of the course, and gosh, we can see it.
部分是吧？
对，是的，我是那种见了爬升可能会比较兴奋的，然后硬化路面、公路多的话，我真的就很糟糕。
那对未来的赛事有什么期待呢？
She was 7 minutes behind Martin at Leadmine Pass at the last checkpoint. And as we said, 7 minutes is like anything can happen.
Unbelievable. We thought here in the studio that we were seeing in the dark Ma Ting making her way down the final descent of Taimoshan. But unbelievably, Yu Yuanyuan, who's been moving through the field all day long. And she made her last move on the descent from Leadmine or from Taimoshan, it looks like. Unbelievable.
然后，包括我们现在有越野联赛，可以去参加到更多我们的比赛。谢谢。
谢谢圆圆。
That descent from Taimoshan, though, if you've got it in the legs, it's just such a fast road piece all the way down for 5-6K. If you've got it in the legs, you can absolutely hammer it. On the flip side, if you've cooked yourself, it takes a long while coming down there.
Well, and we saw that with Yo Penchang. You know, the difficulty in terms of that intensity on tired legs. If you're broken, there's not much you can do.
And here we see Martin coming in the 4th spot.
That's right, and that's not a big gap.
Oh no, that's so close. That's like a minute or two. Still with a big smile on her face, and she deserves to have it. Like, what a fantastic run.
Absolutely. It'll be great to hear in the final interview, just to hear when that pass happened, because Ma Ting was leading in Leadmine Pass and had a lead of about 7 minutes. And I mean, it just shows you that that Wu Yuanyuan had enough in the tank to make that move, but just a real amazing finish to the women's race. That podium, we talked about it being going to be a real tight finish for that podium, and it turned out to be that way.
Yeah, we were saying that this is there's a race in it still for the final podium position, and yeah, I just coming down that hill off Taimoshan, like that's it's just such an interesting part of the race. And I'm interested in like Jeff, for you as an elite, like you better going up or downhill?
I'm pretty handy at both. It really depends on the terrain. I like the paved downhills where you can just really get that cadence high and then extend the stride and really pick up fast pace. But this downhill at the end of Hong Kong 100 is a tricky one because you have that fast road bit, and then you get onto the technical trail, and once you have 98, 99 kilometers in the race, and you've just done some really fast downhill asphalt, to go back to the technical trails and those steps, when you almost feel like the finish line should be there, and then you're having to do a little bit of technical. That's when things can be really tough physically and mentally.
Yeah, just adjusting from then going asphalt back onto the steps is a big change. But I mean, if you know that a race is going to finish with a downhill, do you adjust and go, I might need to be a bit further ahead at some point if I've got to finish, or conversely, if you've got an uphill like TMBT we were talking about, that finishes on a big uphill,
correct,
right?
Yeah. Well, so it depends on whether you're comfortable with that type of finish. So if it is a technical downhill, let's say, and you're not so strong on the technical downhill, then you really want to be mindful of what sort of gap that you have on your closest competitor in terms of having to close that or to defend that gap. and that's where having experience with the other runners in the field can help, because if you know that you're the person that you're battling for positions is a stronger downhiller than you are, then you're going to need a little bit of a gap.
I think we saw Marc Decamp just crossed the finish line there in 31st position. 31st.
Yeah,
interestingly, I finished in 30th Hong Kong 100 last year. Slightly slower time. It was like 14 and a half hours, so it's come through in 14. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been there's a lot more elites that have because last year actually they only announced the physical event just a few weeks before, and
Correct,
so
yeah.
It looks like a local Hong Kong runner we've got coming over now. Yeah, that's
Ko Lok Liu.
Yeah. And our fourth position. Wow, it was very close. Sorry, fifth position. That's Deng Ronghua.
Yeah, we talked about in the women's race positions 3 through 6, all being quite tightly packed, and fifth place Deng Ronghua, who just came across the line, and I think she'll be just over 14 hours. Ma Ting was 13:57, so she got in under the 14-hour mark. So some really impressive times in the heat. We're seeing Deng Ronghua's finishing time 14:01, which is just a really impressive time given the hot conditions today. Just a very competitive field for the ladies.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, we're going to be wrapping up the broadcast pretty soon, but actually we've got some a few good runners coming over the line over the next few minutes. That I just love. I could sit and watch a finish line forever, and just the atmosphere, the energy that it brings. But yeah, we've got like Sangay Sherpa, the third position in the Grand Sam, that is going to be coming over. We've got David Longo, one of your teammates, that's going to be coming soon, and another teammate, John Ellis, that's going to be coming through in the next 10 minutes or so. So I'm happy to hang out for a little bit more if you are, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be able to watch the finish line from the comfort of the studio. It's probably getting a little bit cold out there up in Tai Mo Shan.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what would be quite good actually if we were able to get hold of Steve and Janet at the finish. We've not really been. We heard them introducing the top 10 or giving the top 10 the male athletes the awards earlier, but it'll be good to catch up with them before the day's out. As well.
I mean, understandable for Janet. She's the race director. It's pretty busy managing the logistics for an event this size. So much that happens on the day, and not everything goes to plan when you're having to get 1,800 athletes across 100 kilometers and all their gear, and managing just an army of volunteers. But it'll be great to hear from their perspective how much of the action they were able to follow, and just their impressions of how the day went.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've caught up with them recently, but I think they have just such a good story about the genesis of this race, and how passionate they are about the ultra running scene. Both like lawyers that just loved ultra running, that just wanted to bring these longer races to Hong Kong, and they're just such stalwarts of the scene, aren't they?
Yeah, but they've stuck with it, and the Hong Kong 100 started out to be just a real community event. It wasn't one of these World Trail Majors right from the start, but they've grown it organically year after year. Just the competition has grown in prominence in Asia and now across the world, and attracting just the caliber of runners that we've seen. It's really a testament to the dedication of all of the teams that makes this race happen each year.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the footage that we've seen today, you can see why people travel from all over. I mean, to come to this, it's just such a beautiful course, and actually, interestingly, as chatting to Steve, he first ran Oxfam Trail Walker in 1996. I think he said it was the first year. He's showing his age, but that was the very first ultras in Asia that in Hong Kong, and so running for like 30 years or so, and it's been the inspiration for Hong Kong 100 as well.
Yeah, and that finish line, it's a really, really amazing finish line. And as more runners come through, most of these men and women are going to stick around and cheer other competitors through it. And just the excitement of the rest of the field coming through with everyone there to cheer them on, it's going to be just a great energy there for throughout the night. The rest of the field is going to take hours to make their way through the course. And they have a real treat waiting for them at the end, and probably a hoodie that they'll cherish for some time.
Yeah. There's one thing to note, actually. One of the sort of like really iconic things about this event is if you get a certain gold runner medal. Is you get under sub 15 hours or sub 16? But it's kind of you get the hoodie and the gold runners medal is sort of like, and I mean John Ellis has got that medal 13 years running. I wonder how actually as well Jeremy Ritchie is getting on as well, who's one of the other runners who's done it every single year that this has been going on.
Jeremy is one who has in every previous attempt gone under 14 hours as well. I think he's going to be off that pace today. He went through Xingmun in 124th place, not quite at Lead Mine Pass yet. So it looks like he's still going strong. He's going to move his way through the course. He's tough as old boots. He's going to finish.
Yeah, a fellow Canadian. Huh? I actually, like last year, I think I saw him at Lead Mine Pass, and he was. I was like, I recognise that person. I'm like, Jeremy, what are you doing here? And he looked like death. He looked like a drunken sailor that had just fallen off a ship and was walking around. He's like,
tell us how you really feel, Scott.
No, he had a rough day. But I was like, I was like, why didn't you just DNF if you were feeling that bad? He's like, it's Hong Kong 100. I could never DNF this rate. I've like finished it every single year. Jeremy and John Ellis are two of those finishers.
It's amazing how much pride can take you over some of those tough bits and get you to the finishing line. So I have little doubt that Jeremy's going to make this his 14th finish. Unfortunately, not a sub 14 finish, but still an amazing performance to put it through. It'll be interesting to see how long they can keep that streak of finishes alive.
Sorry, we're going here to Sangay Sherpa, the third spot in the Grand Sam. This guy's a legend. He's one of my favourite ultra runners.
Absolute warrior.
Yeah, warrior. He won Rinjani Mila earlier in the year, one of the toughest ultras in the world. He's raced 3,000 kilometres this year. He actually doesn't train at all. He just races week in, week out, week in, week out. He's had a really, really good year.
When you're racing 3,000 kilometers a year, racing is training.
Yeah, exactly. There's no time to train when you just. So he ran UTMB, got to 140 kilometers DNF. The following week he ran Tour de Jean. Finished it 330 kilometers. I think he came like sort of top 10 or just outside of. Just a great runner.
And he is a Nepalese runner, but based out of France. So really experienced running in the big mountains, but also experienced running in Hong Kong. So just an amazing performance from him in the Grand Slam today.
What an amazing event all round today, and we must now pay homage to the two people who have set this whole thing up from year one. We're joined at the finish line by none other than, of course, Steve and Janet. Steve Brammer, Janet, it's fantastic to speak to you finally from here in the studio, Steve and Janet. You're both looking fresh as a daisy yourselves after what I'm sure has been a long 3 days for you on the course. It's Richard here in the studio. On my left, I've got Jeff. On my right, I've got Scott. We've been going through this for 14 hours ourselves, but first of all, from all of us here in the studio, huge congratulations on what's been a fantastic day of Hong Kong 100 racing, and of course 2 days of fantastic racing on Thursday and Friday. How do you both feel, starting perhaps with Steve?
Fantastic, to be honest with you. It's been a real joy. Hard conditions today. It was hot during the day for all of the runners in the 100, but volunteers have been amazing. The reaction from runners has been super positive, and no, it's just been great to have everyone together again and to be having fun on the trails and actually homage, if that's the word, to your team. We've actually, while we've been sort of organising here, we've also had an eye on the streaming, and we've seen some of the most beautiful images you could ever imagine. So, chapeau.
Yeah, no, thanks, Steve. And what a race we saw today. Some amazing battles in the men's and women races. Were there any standout performance that you or Janet saw today that you want to talk about?
Do you want to, or shall I?
Well, I haven't really been following too closely because there's quite a lot going on, but I have been hearing from everyone around me about the amazing performance of Wen Guangfu after checkpoint 9, let mine pass. That sounds absolutely amazing. I think the Grand Slammers, they are absolutely awesome. The top 3 has come into the checkpoint now, and we're just waiting for everybody else. I think everyone has their unique story, and we hear other runners coming in and say that like how they've waited all these years to do the event and finally managed to do it after all these opportunities missed and cannot finish it. And yeah, there's a lot of very emotional runners crossing the finish line.
Yeah, I think emotion at the finish line is the thing that stands out. And Steve, did you? We were just following the men's race and were just fascinated. Going to Shinmu and Wen Guangfu was around 10 minutes behind Yo Pei Chan, and we were like, it's probably, with Yo Pei Chan having won the previous 2 years, it's going to be very difficult for him to catch up. But it's just so incredible that a race of 10 hours distance, and then you can have someone overtake that close towards the end of the race, just at the final part going up Tai Mo Shan. Just yeah, it was really incredible following.
Yeah, I mean, amazing to watch and to be able to follow it on the streaming. It's incredible. But yeah, I think if you're Yo Pei Chan in that situation, you probably feel really disappointed because you've led for 90 kilometres and then not actually won the race, particularly when you're gunning for a hat trick of wins in succession. So you could see why Yo Pei Chan might be really disappointed, and yet he shouldn't be. He's just come second in an incredibly brave front run and been pipped. So you have to feel for him, but I really hope he can see that was an amazing run by him that he should be super proud of and not disappointed in any way. And Guangfu, he ran the perfect race. He timed it to absolute perfection. Yeah. So again, you just have to say hats off, and what an athlete, and what a pair of athletes, and what a lot of unbelievable talent there's been on show today.
I had a little chat with Pei Chan afterwards, and he did realize that for a long distance race things happen. He is very comfortable in the heat, but didn't realize that there is a limit to that as well. But he's already looking forward to his next race, which he wants to do, which is the Black Canyon. So it's great to see that he wants to sign up for another World Trail Majors event.
And you guys are at the finish line, one of the most iconic finishing lines at the bottom of Tai Mo Shan, with runners continuing to stream through. What's the mood like at the finish line, and what are you seeing the runners kind of needing, and what are you trying to have ready for the runners who've been out on the course all day long?
Well, we committed the cardinal sin earlier of not having the beer on ice when the first couple of finishers came through. So that, to me, that feels like race organizer negligence. So I suspect that I might be being demoted for next year. But it's just getting, as the weather predictors predicted, it's just getting cold actually. And so what we're going to be looking out for is people being well enough wrapped up. The blankets are here, the warm tents firing up. So yeah, making sure that with the weather, it's pretty, I'm not sure ironic's the right word, but unfortunate, I suppose, that it was perhaps slightly too hot for racing conditions during the day, and then we've stopped racing, or many people have stopped racing now, and it's gone super cold. And so for the people who are going to be out for 30 hours, too hot during the day and then too cold during the night. But anyway, you can't always get what you want.
But we are getting ready to have the parties starting.
Well, all the very best to both of you, Steve and Janet, for what I hope will be a restful Sunday. From here in the studio, we just want to say a fantastic congratulations to you both. You've no idea until you watch back this live stream just how much positive energy and celebration there's been coming in, both from viewers who have been watching it on, of course, the Hong Kong 100 YouTube channel, the World Trail Majors series YouTube channel, of course, all of the Chinese social media channels. We've been receiving messages from all over the world, from El Salvador, from Zurich, Switzerland, from Germany, from Japan. We've had visitors to the studio from Japan speaking Japanese to us. Mandarin athletes from Thursday and Friday's races coming and speaking Mandarin to us. It's been a real international flavour today. We've had top athletes from Hungary who are based in Hong Kong, from Poland taking part in the race. It's really been a celebration of what I think this event stands for, and I hope you enjoy, if you can have time sometime in the next few weeks, watching this all back. So a huge thank you to us here in the studio for helping to make this live stream happen. It's been a fantastic showcase for the Hong Kong trail running community and of course for Hong Kong's trails, and hopefully if you have some time to rest you can reflect on that. And any final thoughts from you down at the finish line that you'd like to share with the viewers who are watching this all over the world and seeing in many cases for the first time just how beautiful this event is?
Well, I want to thank you guys and thank you for everybody that is watching around the world. Please come to Hong Kong and join us here.
And just to echo what you've said, I've just had a WhatsApp from a runner in South Africa who's a former winner of Ultra Trail Cape Town, saying it would be a dream come true to come to Hong Kong 100 next year. So see what we can do on that side. And so it's a massive thank you to the volunteers, to your team, all of the people out there running and producing and so on. It's just been fantastic, and to the runners for all their huge effort to make it to the finish line. For those that didn't, there's always next year, and for those that did, let's party.
Thanks so much both. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and please, we look forward to seeing you again next year. We'll do the whole thing all over again, but have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. And with that, we say goodbye to Steve and Janet at the finish line. We wish them well for the rest of their night of looking after all of the runners. We'll bring it back here into the studio and start to wrap things up with a reminder of what we've been doing all day. Thanks so much, of course, to Jeff on my left here and to Scott, who have been such stalwarts throughout the day presenting this coverage. It's been a really emotional roller coaster for us just watching, I think, if we just want to wrap things up. Any final thoughts, Jeff, quickly?
Yeah, I've been impressed with all the athletes who are out there. Tough conditions today. Such an elite field. Yeah, we were looking at the start list, and it was difficult for us to pick who we thought would come out, and probably some surprises in both of the races today. It was just fun to watch along as the race unfolded.
Thanks so much for your insight all day long. Scott, any final thoughts from your side?
We do an awards at the Endurance Asia podcast every year. We gave Hong Kong 100 the race of the year for 2023. It showed just why today it is one of the best race in Asia. Just beautiful views. Very great organisation, so much fun to follow. I think I'm going to have to come back and be, rather than sitting in the studio, I actually want to be on the field. I might have to come back and do the 33 and the 50, and then I can come and join you in the studio.
The grand not sound. The grand yee. We'll see. Thanks so much, Scott. I just want to thank everybody else who's been involved in this live stream. You won't have seen them, but behind the scenes, we have, just to our right, making all of this happen, we have Michael and his team. We have Michael, AC, Antonia, Alex, Ahin, Aho, Chu, Yuna, Francis, Dermin, Heather and Tony on the Chinese social streaming side. We had a film crew out on the course today. We've had Natalie reporting on the course and organising everything. Angie, of course, on the course you saw so many times. We've had Ryan and Harry running up and down all day long. We've had Jack and Robin flying drones all day long. We've had another great camera crew of cameramen supporting all of that team, and van drivers galore ferrying people around. It's been a huge exercise of endeavour and commitment from everybody here. And with that, we'd like to say thank you so much. Please spread spread the word about this live stream, share the link to many people so they can watch it even after the event, because of course the live stream will still be up. And let's try and make this happen again for this event in 2025. And with that, we are now going to play a video that will remind people what the rest of the year looks like for the World Trail Majors Series. It's a video that shows the World Trail Majors Series calendar that, of course, has kicked off in style with the Hong Kong 100. Here is the World Trail Majors Series.
Here we go. The 2023 Black Canyon 100K is off from the Bear track. There, Arizona.
Arranca la Transgran Canaria, 128 kilómetros y 7.000 metros de desnivel positivo. Es cruzar Gran Canaria de norte a sur.
Aqui realmente desafiar tudo, a montanha, tudo o bom que tem na Madeira, que realmente nós
Everything is ready for the start of these 100 miles from the English city of Winchester to the city of Eastbourne. More than 400 runners of different nationalities have gathered today.
C'est du Québec Méga Trail. Alors, vous avez différents liens qui peuvent être suivis. Position, le gagnant du QFT 110, Ugo Miaga.
Everybody to the Ultra Trail Cape Town 2021, the 7th edition.
On your screen right now is this amazing scene up above Kloof Neck at the corner.